a spontaneous little live for Josh Taylor versus Ekow. Now, I'll tell you, hold on a second, let me get this situated right now. I'll tell you right now, I didn't know this fight was happening today. I just thought this was one of those, let's say they were not going to have any UFC or any boxing. Apparently, there's a few boxing matches going on, of course. There's always a boxing match going on every weekend, even if the UFC is not on. So here we are, Josh Taylor versus Ekow that we are going to react to right now. And we're going to get some lights in here real quick just to get this on and cracking. Okay. There we go. All right. So now we're on and popping 1 minute into the stream. We got it on and cracking right now. All right. Okay, here we go. Make sure this is on right here. All right, here we go. Josh Taylor is being introduced right now. All right, so Josh Taylor just got announced right now. They're about to meet in the middle of the ring. All right, shout out to everybody that's tapping in right now. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We got Josh Taylor versus Ekow Usman right now in the first round. Okay, first round is about to pop off right now. All right, seconds out right now. Shout out to everybody that's tapping in right now. We are just about seconds out. Here we go. Round number one. Josh Taylor versus Ekow. Let's see how this first round comes about. The former undisputed champion of the world. By the way, you guys are tapped in to the most epic mixed martial arts channel in the history of mankind right now. No UFC during the weekend, but we got some boxing fights to react to right now. So please hit the like button, hit the subscribe. We are going to get it on and cracking right now. There's Josh Taylor right now getting it cracking with the double jabs, moving side to side. And Ekow right now is Essuaman sort of allowing Josh Taylor to walk him back right now. What's up, my brother? Marty Miller, 65. How are you, my man? Shout out to Marty Miller, 65. Are you watching this right now? Obviously, there's no UFC this weekend, but we do have Josh Taylor and Usman right now as we speak. So here we go. All right, so very good jab on the part of Josh Taylor right now. I figured I'd just come in and do the main event, which is right now. Obviously, I came in at the right time. I was like, you know what? Why don't I go and live stream this fight while it's going on right now? That's why, if you notice, there's not even a thumbnail on this particular video, not even a description of any kind. So we're just getting it on and cracking right here. 1:30 seconds left into the first round. Marty Miller says, good, man, just got done training. Okay, very good. I'm not, unfortunately, I don't follow boxing that closely anymore. Okay, well, we do have MMA topics to still talk about, even while the boxing stream is going on. You know, one of the best MMA channels that I've always watched, or actually, yeah, whenever there is a boxing event that they cover. Obviously, MMA conversations are not that far off. And speaking of which, there's Josh Taylor right now really putting a whooping on Ekow right now. Obviously, I don't know much about this gentleman that he's fighting. I know Moises Itauma was also supposed to box today, the 19-year-old who's trying to beat Mike Tyson's undefeated record. But I just think it's one of those fights where I felt like I could probably miss, only because I know that he's going to beat that guy soundly. So, but then again, you never know, right? With this guy that Josh Taylor is fighting right now, I don't know, man. I don't. I think Josh Taylor is showing exactly right now why he is the former undisputed champion of the world at 140. Now, an interesting fact about Josh Taylor: he was the undisputed champ of 140 right after Terrence Crawford moved up away from 140 and into 147. And so it was Josh Taylor that picked up those belts right after Terrence Crawford had left the division. So a little known fun fact for those of you guys that are watching right now, or are also simultaneously watching this while also watching the Taylor fight. So as we wait from round one, that is round one that now has just concluded. So in the meantime, what I will be doing is making there we go. I'm going to be making a thumbnail for this particular fight so we can attract some more viewers on this, because obviously after the fight, after the main event, we will also have some MMA conversations on the table as well. A lot to talk about in MMA. Everybody's getting fatigued with the whole John Jones situation. People are wondering, well, when is this fight really going to happen? And is this fight going to happen at all? And if you're asking that, well, that's a good question, because I'm sure that's the same question that each and every single one of us is asking right now. So this is Josh Taylor's Queensberry debut. Okay, so prior to this, I believe Josh Taylor was managed by none other than Daniel Kinahan. And for those of you that don't know anything about Daniel Kinahan, the dude is the biggest mobster in all of Ireland. And in fact, Interpol, the United States, UAE, all these other top Western countries right now are after him. So wherever Daniel Kinahan is right now, he is in current hiding right now. And no one seems to be able to find him, right? I mean, nowadays you seem to be able to catch all types of criminals, but for whatever reason, you're not able to catch Daniel Kinahan for whatever reason. But yeah, just a little fun fact about Josh Taylor. He was once managed and promoted by Daniel Kinahan and his promotion in his company, Mac the Life or Mac the Knife production, I think, right? So, but Joshua Taylor doing really good so far. Ooh, there's a nice hook right there by Josh Taylor. All right, there's a good one right upstairs from Josh Taylor right there. Continues to jab right now with the unorthodox position as we speak. Yeah, doing really good. And as for Essuaman, doesn't really seem to have a lot of just watch some Taylor highlights. Beautiful pull counter versus Ramirez. Man, you should watch this fight right now live if you can. I mean, those the highlights are great, but I don't know. I don't know about you. I feel kind of lonely watching highlights of a person's fight while their actual fight is going on, or an event that the fight they are in is actually going on. You know what I mean? Even more so if the fight is going on. I don't know. It just feels like, wait, there's something that we should be watching here. But I don't know. I'm one of those people, obviously, because, I stay up to date with combat sports. So that's probably why. But yeah, yeah, you should watch this fight, though. This is pretty interesting. Obviously, the other guy, Usman, is not really Essuaman, at least, or I don't know how to pronounce his name. Essuaman. I was just trying to see who was fighting. Unfortunately, I don't have TV. Oh, okay, okay. For show, for show. I wish I could obviously show it, but you would imagine how many people always come in here during a live stream. It's like, hey, are you going to show the fight? Like that's a common question that that a lot of people ask. Obviously, a little bit uninformed on the aspects of copyright issues and whatnot. So, but on any regard, all right. So that is the end of round two. Now we're heading into round three. Still a round for Josh Taylor and continues to be right. Obviously, Josh Taylor is undisputed champion at 140 for a reason, and he's showing it exactly how it's done right now. So, all right, heading into round two right now, guys. Round three, rather. Sorry. All right, so there it is. Now, a little bit of an aggressive part on Osman right now. What weight did you fight at? 155, also 170. What did you think of Darren Till's recent boxing match? That's a very good question. I think Darren Till looked really good in boxing, right? And I don't think that surprised me as much because obviously Darren Till is from Liverpool. There's a lot of good boxers that are out of Liverpool, right? We know that Darren Till is from Liverpool, Paddy Pimblett is from Liverpool, but we also forget that the Smith brothers are from Liverpool, among other big time boxing champions in the past, right? So being that Darren Till got beat a lot in MMA in terms of the grappling exchanges and whatnot, the one thing you can't take away from Darren Till is that the brother knows how to box, he knows how to fight, and he knows how to strike, and he showed that in the Darren Stewart fight. So he did a very good job in that fight, I think. I think he did a very good job. And I think, you know what? I'm going to take a hot take on this right now, right? If Darren Till continues on, I think Darren Till could win a world title. That's what I think. I think Darren Till could win a world title in boxing. The guy knows how to use his jab. The guy is a great striker. Marty Miller says, yeah, he's a great striker. He hung right in there with Wonder Boy. Yeah, he did hang in there with Wonder Boy, and he did beat him. Although some people might find that to be a controversial fight, but yeah, you could say that he did hang in there with him. Although the mechanics of fighting somebody who's a Taekwondo karate style fighter may be different, I think it shows you that Darren Till could probably deal with a lot of extremely elusive guys in his weight division, especially the top echelons of, let's say, 170 or maybe even cruiserweight. You know who I'd love to see Darren Till fight in boxing? Look up this guy named Brandon Glanton. Brandon Glanton just recently fought Chris Billum Smith, right? So if there's a good matchup for Darren Till to any degree, it would probably be this guy, I think. Right? I think him and as such, would probably be a good fight. Okay, so what do we got here? I think Taylor just hurt Usman right there. Okay, so that is the end of round number three right here. Good job on both men here. All right, so moving on to the next round right now. Uh, Anybody seen the Demetrius Johnson and the Tom Aspinall interview by any chance? I got to tell you, uh, the more that I hear Tom Aspinall talk, the more that I am convinced it is John Jones's side who doesn't want to take this fight. At least that's what Tom Aspinall has been saying in all his updates, his YouTube videos. Yeah, well, what did you think of it? The Tom Aspinall and the DJ interview. All right, on to round number 4 right now. All right, here we go. Yeah, Marty Miller says, yeah, John knows it's a dangerous fight, and he's right. I honestly don't blame him for not wanting to take it. Correct. John taking that fight will only ruin his legacy, right? And then you got to take into account, it's not like Anderson Silva. Look, you want to know why we don't give Anderson Silva a lot of stick for getting beat by Uriah Hall? You want to know why? Because Anderson Silva was a nice guy. Sure, he had steroid allegations. Sure, Anderson Silva, I don't know. I mean, maybe he had that one incident where he, sort of took the grease out of his head or took the grease from, the face and he got it and just rubbed it all over him during a Chael Sonnen fight. So there was a lot of controversy in that. But, man, he wasn't a troublesome individual in any kind of way, not the way John Jones was. I think John Jones is just, highly susceptible to erratic behavior in a way where it just doesn't really present any. Ooh, Josh Taylor right now just rocked him with a right hand, well, a left hand right now from the unorthodox stance position. But yeah, everybody wants to see John Jones lose, right? So it will really tarnish his legacy in a way that it would not do so with Anderson Silva taking a loss at the end of his career, right? John has to come out on top. Because I want you to think of it like this, right? Whatever you say to John Jones, he will always have a comeback at you saying, well, I'm undefeated. Okay, well, John, you did coke. All right, cool story, bro. I'm undefeated. Well, John, you hit a pregnant woman while you were driving and you were high on marijuana and you were drunk and at the same time and you were doing coke. And yeah, cool story. I'm undefeated. Like that is the story that the very least John Jones can tell to himself, right? John Jones can say that to himself. Hey, you know what? I'm undefeated. You can say whatever you want. You can do whatever you want, but by the end of the day, I'm undefeated, right? So that is the narrative that he's going to spew off of, and quite frankly, you can't beat that, and that's the point of it. So if he leaves right now, John will have nothing but arguments for you with days. And we're talking about with days if, let's say, you were in, what do you call it? You were on Twitter with him or social media, right? Like, it's going to continue on. And that's just what he's going to fire back at you. But if he lost and he became a meme and became an embarrassment of a meme, like similar to Ronda Rousey, he doesn't have the moral high ground. And that's ultimately what John is winning here, is the moral high ground. Because think about it, even if he wins or loses, right? I could imagine that the money that he has going on, the money that he's going to make in that fight will probably alleviate the pain. At the same time, I also think that there are sponsorships waiting for John Jones in his post-career where once he's done and he has this undefeated streak that he can live off of, he can probably gain more money than, let's say, if he was to take these fights or this one fight with Tom Aspinall. I want you to think about that as we are heading into round number 5 right now with Taylor and Essuaman. I mean, think about that, right? He can make more money as an undefeated fighter than one big money fight losing. I want you to think about that. Because George St. Pierre, that is the reason why George St. Pierre still makes a lot of money till this day, even in his post fight career. Yeah, GSP, man, he has a lot of money in his post fight career, and that's all indicative of the fact that he's undefeated or has beaten every man that was put in front of him. And Josh Taylor boxing very beautifully right now as he is backing away from Usman and allowing Usman to come to him and just waiting for some counter shots. But yeah, like Marty Miller said and what he saw in his highlights, this is what Josh Taylor is ultimately good at. He has a very Mayweather-like fighting style, right? He's sort of like a Scottish Mayweather, right? He just really knows how to hit you with some counters and whatnot. Marty Miller says, yeah, he kind of said that. He said he doesn't solely identify as a fighter anymore. What? That he wants to explore other aspects of life. John said this. Wow. Okay, that John, it's over, man. It's over for John. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's what it is. I think one of his brothers is undefeated. I'm sorry, is retired from the NFL. I think he's looking at his brother and he's saying, you know what? I think it's time for me to join this guy right here. And then my little brother Chandler, where he still has a career going on in the NFL. Um, so I guess, he can live vicariously through him every weekend winning. Because, man, this fighting stuff, it is a drug, my man. This stuff is an absolute drug of a thing. This is an absolute drug of a thing, especially if you love the lights, you love the attention, you love the feeling of the physical body peak that you get while you're getting into a fight or going into fight week, right? It's really the most priceless feeling that you can get. And ultimately, I think that is why I don't think, yeah, I don't think John Jones is done completely. But then again, you never know. But yeah, I'm very surprised John said that the other day. I'm quite shocked, honestly. All right, here we go. We are at round number 6, halfway into the fight right now. So okay. Marty Miller here says selfishly, I'd love to see John. I'd love to see if John could take down Tom Aspinall. I would too, and I think that he can. I think that he can. As somebody who believes in John Jones, not only believes in John Jones, but believes in the power of American wrestling, I would love to think that John Jones could do that. So I really am curious to see if he can apply that for the sake of understanding that wrestling is one of the best bases to have going into MMA. Uh, but could possibly submit him as well. I think it's one of those situations that if John was to submit him, it would be out of rocking him. And then Miller also says he's trained with Gordon Ryan. Correct, right. So there's counter right there to the game of Tom Aspinall, being that Tom is very good on the ground in that particular event, right? And Ryan talked about just how good John Jones's grappling is. Oh yeah, man. Even Olympians, Gable Stevenson, okay, gold medal Olympic wrestler, has trained with John Jones. He says that his wrestling is absolutely insane, right? Gable Stevenson said the same thing. Correct. Yes. So Marty Miller said that. Yeah, I mentioned Gable Stevenson even before I read that part. But yeah, Gable Stevenson said the same thing. So there you go, right? He's got the wrestling vouched by uh, Gable Stevenson. And by the way, here's an interesting fact about Gable Stevenson, right? He said that he wants to try his hand in MMA, which is great. But then you got to ask yourself who his opponent is going to be. Well, obviously, his opponent is going to be a lot of people in a heavyweight division, right? He's just going to add himself into a heavyweight division where, quite frankly, he's ultimately really needed, right? So I think he could fight Tom Aspinall if John Jones doesn't. Human Made says, your thoughts on Anshul Jubber, Indian guy, saying that he can hurt Khabib on the feet and submit him in the later rounds. Okay, so I get this a lot, right? A lot of people ask me about this. I've had a few Indians ask me about this as well. Keep in mind, these Indians that ask me about this, they're not exactly MMA fans, right? These are guys that have a normal life, normal job. I mean, what hardcore MMA fan has or boxing fan doesn't have a normal life or a normal job, right? I mean, you would have to in order to support your habits of combat sports consumption. But these guys are really not tapped in like that. We're talking about the type of Indian guys that are casuals, right? Meaning that if there's a McGregor card, if there's a John Jones card, or if there's, more importantly, a Jake Paul fight, they're going to be in on it, right? They're going to want to watch it. Well, okay, so what is the pattern that I'm trying to make with you here, right? These Indian guys that are saying this, or not just Indian guys, but primarily anybody that is interested in Anshul, mostly Indian guys. But yeah, their whole entire take on it is, brother, did you see that Anshul said that he could beat Khabib, and if he knocks him out, he can submit him? Okay, very bad Indian accent. I do very bad with accents, right? I tried doing the Irish accent yesterday. Now I do the Indian accent. But I'm not MMA guru. That dude, he's on point with the accents, especially for people that are within his region. But on any event, the Indian guys that say this, what they don't understand is that in the fight world, okay, everybody says this. Do you understand? Everyone says this. My brother, when I was fighting actively, okay, I believed that I could beat George St. Pierre. Okay, like who doesn't believe in themselves when they're fighting, right? And George St. Pierre was absolutely unstoppable at that time, and probably even worse to deal with now, even at his older age. Shrek says hi. Marty Miller says, I love it. And yeah, Human Made. Yeah, so I hope that answers your question, Human Made. It's just hyperbole talk. It's just nothing more than just blanket statements, you know, empty threats and what have you. And why would it not be an empty threat? That's what you do in a fight game. So I don't really blame Anshul for saying that he can beat Khabib. You should believe that. Now, can he do it? Come on now. You know, we're MMA fans in here, right? We're boxing hardcore aficionados in here, right? Can he really do that? No, I don't think so. Marty Miller says Khabib's grappling is at a level that is just a threat of it will negate someone's better striking abilities. That's what I'm saying, man. And you know what? I would argue that Anshul's striking is not really up there with Justin Gaethje. If there's any fighter that really gave Khabib problems on the feet, it was Justin Gaethje. Would you agree with that? Right? Justin Gaethje gave him some serious problems, man. Leading up to that fight, I said that Justin Gaethje is going to go for leg kicks, which he did. But in those same light, those leg kicks are going to be open for Khabib to ankle pick him to the ground, which is what happened. And yeah, man, Justin Gaethje did really good in that fight, regardless of getting submitted. He landed some serious leg kicks there, Marty Miller said. Yeah, that's right, Marty Miller. Those leg kicks, man, Khabib felt those, right? I think it was at that moment where Khabib was like, brother, I'm glad I'm retiring from this ish. I'm done with this number one bullshit. You know what I mean? Like I bet you when he was taking those shots, but I can still beat this man. This man still beat him. But no, I don't want to hurt Justin Gaethje because his family here. So no, I not hurt Justin Gaethje. No, I gonna take him down and submit him. And that's it, brother. It's finished. And then I finish. and then I done, and then Islam can come here and dominate, and then maybe somewhere down the line, Islam can go to 170. If somebody like Usman is not there, or somebody like Belal is not there as champion, okay, maybe I go and fight this guy, but I'm done. So Islam, it's your turn. So yeah, man, that fight made him rethink his career, and of course, I'm speaking out of exaggeration. Of course, it was already something that Khabib had in his mind. His father during the pandemic had something to do with it. Solid Khabib. Yeah, I think that's what it is. I think with Middle Eastern guys, Muslim guys, I think I do good accents, but not with Indian guys, Irish guys. Certainly not with Hispanics. I don't do very, good accents with Hispanics. Maybe Black Americans, I can probably emulate because I hang around them a lot. So that's not exactly hard for me to do. So yeah, just I guess people that I'm around, it's easy for me to emulate. And then my best emulation of all. How about this? This is the best imitation that I do. You want to know what it is? Let's drum roll. My best imitation of accents are white Americans. Okay, that's my best impression. Is that I do very well with white American impressions because I naturally talk like one anyway. So there you have it. You know what I mean? So yeah. So I guess any people that I'm around or this and that, that's me. Let's hear it. LOL. Marty 65. Let's hear it. Let's hear the. I mean that's you've heard it plenty of times. I mean, you've seen my videos and live streams. That's yeah, that's what they consider, white American accent, right? That's what my British friends call it. They say that, I sound like a white American. My black homies in California are like, man, you know what? You sound like a square. But that dude, man, that ninja, because I don't want to say the N word, right? You know what I mean? But man, that ninja, he a real one. He a real one. Kyrie, a real one. Just like my man Rich Trapper when I went on his show. Shout outs to him on that one. Where's the little Rich Trapper audio that I got going on here? This is you guys know what I'm talking about. The Rich Trapper show that I did. Hold on, let me see here. Where is that? Okay, no, I didn't erase that video, did I? No, 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 no. Right here. Right here, while this fight is going on. Predictions, news, and everything that deals with MMA. Shout out to Kyrie of El-Kheer MMA, Sacramento, California. Okay, that's a little loud right now. All right, can't get that going. That's a little loud. I don't want that to overlap. But okay. All right, so Taylor is whooping butt right now in this fight. As we speak, though, let's concentrate on this fight a little bit. Round number 8 so far with Taylor. I don't think this guy has won a single round yet. Not at all. I don't think he's won a single round yet. So, all right, there's a straight right hand by Essuaman. Oh, there's a good hook right there by Josh Taylor. Yeah, good head movement by Josh Taylor. It would have been interesting to see Josh Taylor against Tank Davis, right? Especially if Tank Davis decided he wanted to move up to like 140 or something like that. All right. So there we go. We'll save that part right there. There we go. Now we got some. Now we're going into round number 9 right now. All right, round number 9 with Josh Taylor. Oh, nice hook right there by Josh Taylor. Oh, there's a nice hook right there by or a cross rather by Josh Taylor, just circling around him while he's throwing a jab, and then this guy's just trying to walk him down into the ropes the whole entire time. But Josh Taylor's doing a very good job of alleviating himself away from it, whether it's from a clinch or whether it's in a way where he's circling around from the ring. Are you going to do a live for UFC 316? Oh yeah, I absolutely will be doing a live for UFC 316 for sure, for sure. I try to do a live for every event, right? Now, the only difference is that whether I'm going to do it in camera like this, or I'm either going to do it just by audio, right? But on any event, I show up either way, whether it's on audio or whether it's on video. I'm definitely going to show up for all the fights as much as I can. So, and not only that, for those aspiring MMA YouTubers out there, it's a good way of growing your channel, right? Just staying consistent in the lives. They say that videos get you the most subscribers. Of course, in the past, that's been true, but as of lately, at least within the span of a month or so, um, my live streams have been doing way better than my videos. So I don't know what is up with that. Maybe it's just something that I need to do to either promote the videos more, or I don't know, man, or maybe drop it at a certain time. But yeah, I got to figure out the algorithm of the video and what's going on with that. But on any regard, yeah, awesome, man. I'll be there. I'm interested to see if O'Malley can do anything. Also, looking forward to Gastelum versus the Pfeiffer fight. Oh yeah, that is a good one, right? They were supposed to fight in in Mexico City, but obviously Joe got sick, and then Joe called Mexico a S-hole country, right? Which obviously has no correlation to anything because I mean, what do you expect, right? Joe Pfeiffer is a low educated, a non-educated, white trash dude at that, right? So, he's not exactly the most educated dude. There's a lot of people that have gone to Mexico that have had no issues down there to any degree. In fact, if you live in the West Coast or in Arizona or in Texas, you damn near are in Mexico anyway. I mean, really, there are parts of Mexico where you couldn't tell if you're in California or if you're in Mexico, right? There's really no difference other than the population, of course, which would probably alter the demographics of the city. But other than that, yeah, the West Coast, New Mexico, Mexico, Arizona, Texas, all those places are really not that different. But nonetheless, we got it for UFC 316. So Joe Pfeiffer doesn't have to complain about having free vacations anymore, going to places that he normally wouldn't go for free. You know what I mean? So I mean, yeah. But Vegas is a cool spot to fight. Obviously, much closer to home. Uh, a bigger event at that, way bigger than UFC Mexico. So that's always a plus. But yeah, man, that's an interesting fight. I'm really curious to see the development of Joe Pfeiffer going into this fight, but also the possible decline and digress of Kelvin Gastelum, or maybe he might just surprise us and show us that he still has it. But on any event, we're round 10 right now with Taylor and Usman, and Usman is just throwing bombs at Taylor right now. That hillbilly has some power, though. He does, man. He definitely does. And you know what? I think Kelvin Gastelum really needs to watch out for that. But I think what Kelvin Gastelum is going to do is do what he does best on the wrestling department and possibly try to negate that situation from happening at all costs. Uh, or, for all we know, Kelvin Gastelum could knock him out. Because let's not forget, Kelvin Gastelum still has some serious knockout power in his hands. So this is a guy that has knockout power, but you never know. Yeah, this is Josh Taylor's Queensberry Promotions. Oh, and by the way, speaking of UFC 316, I'm going to add this into the description right now. Okay? Is Merab hurt? UFC 316. Okay. Uh Corey Sandhagen. Also, Corey Sandhagen is in this story as well. You guys heard about Corey Sandhagen having an OnlyFans, right? Yep, perfect analysis. Yeah, I think Cheeto pulled out already. He pulled out like as he had a fight in UFC 316. Is that right? Okay, so all right, Cheeto pulled out. So then, if let's say Merab pulls out, then you can't have him as a replacement. But how about this? Let's forget Cheeto Vera. Okay, if Merab can't make it, it's a disappointment. He is the champ. We would love to see him defend his title, but nobody really ever asked for Sean O'Malley and Merab anyway. And quite frankly, Sean O'Malley has to earn that spot. Let's throw Corey Sandhagen in there. He just won. He's fresh. He's always ready and down to fight. Let's put him in there. Interim title. Corey Sandhagen versus Sean O'Malley. And I'm just saying that as a possibility because right now, Merab has a broken toe. Look it up. Look it up. It's on the news right now. It's all over circulating. Now, are we going to end a fight? Or the main event rather, not the whole entire fight card. But are we going to end the whole entire fight card predicated on an injury from Merab? Well, the answer is no. And you know how the UFC operates, which is how the Saudis want to operate in boxing, right? Joseph Parker was supposed to fight Dubois. That fell through. Dubois all of a sudden gets a title shot again against Usyk. And then on top of that, what do you call it? Okay, we got round 11 right now with Taylor and Osman. Okay, so now they bring in Martin Bacoli, right? Again, as a UFC model of, all right, one big star pulls out, we're going to bring in another star. Why not Corey Sandhagen? And you know what? I tell you what, Corey Sandhagen, now I don't know if this is a joke or not, but Corey Sandhagen mentioned that he made a couple of million on OnlyFans. And you know what he was showing? And man, I don't even want to repeat it. I don't even know why I'm doing this story. I urge you guys to look that up. I don't even know if that's true or not. You guys can write on the comment section below if you want to speak about it. I'll bring it up, but I'm not going to bring it up because it's so disgusting what he did in OnlyFans, supposedly to make $2 million. But again, you never know. Maybe it's just fake. Maybe it's banter. And you know that we live in an age of professional wrestling when it comes to MMA, so you never know. You know what I mean? But on any event, all right, 2 more rounds of this right here. All right, so some really good power shots right here coming from Usman. Yes, I would love to see O'Malley versus Sandhagen. That's what I'm saying, man. That is the fight to make because none of us honestly believes Sean O'Malley deserves this fight against Merab. Right? We've seen what happened the first time. That doesn't seem like a merit for a rematch. Although Sean O'Malley uh was putting it on him just right at the end of that fight. And it was one of those situations where it was a little too late. A little too late. But just like in the boxing world, right? When Tyson Fury fought Deontay Wilder the first time, towards the end is when Tyson Fury started figuring out, you know what, I can impose my will on this Deontay Wilder guy a whole lot more. And then the rematch came, he understood that, and he followed suit within those courses of action. He's like, you know what? I'm stronger than this guy. I can push him around. I felt him up in the first last in the last rounds in the first fight. I think that I can do some serious damage in the second fight. Maybe Sean O'Malley is in that trajectory right now. Maybe he's looking at it like, you know what? The fight in the first fight, at least within the last rounds, I did pretty good. Now, what if I just started doing all of that from the very beginning? Well, this is how you do that. This is how you do that. Sean O'Malley has to be first. He has to surprise Merab, but also, and this is easier said than done because Merab is so good at this, he has to really watch out for the level changes of Merab and also prevent him from taking him down continuously over and over again in a rinse and repeat cycle. So there you have it. So the corner of Josh Taylor is urging him to use that jab. Right. Yeah. Marty Miller says right. So undeserving guy, but Sandhagen deserves something. So it is perfect. Interim title shot. And you know what? Probably the only interim title that matters in the whole UFC's roster. Because obviously, interim doesn't mean anything in the heavyweight division, even though we can say and crown Tom Aspinall as the unofficial champion. Merab has next level cardio too. At first, at the first fight, he was on his bike, staying out of O'Malley's striking range. Correct. What do you guys think? I want to get a poll, right? Because I've been getting a little bit of some writer's block when it comes to doing videos, right? I'm a little hesitant to pull triggers on video ideas right now, but I have one floating right now. And then once I do that video, I'm going to do another consecutive one, and I'm going to drop like maybe 2 or 3 at a time in a day, and then the next day maybe I'll drop 1 or 2, and then just 1 each day. But the one video idea I have in mind is talking about the racial discrimination towards John Jones. Now, I know you're probably thinking, how is John Jones racially discriminated in any kind of way? Well, I'm about to emphasize that in this video. All right, let me know what you guys think about that video concept. Marty Miller says Merab has next. Okay, so the first fight, he was on his bike staying out of O'Malley's striking range. Yeah, and you know what? He was even pretty good at sort of hitting O'Malley with his strikes as well. I mean, the staying on your bike definitely helped him with his striking range as well, right? Being able to get in and out, not staying in there too long to be hit to any degree, right? So, all right, last round right here in the last minute for Taylor and Osman. All right, Josh Taylor looking for the final bell right here. 30 seconds left. Oh wow, man! Now they're clinched up against the ropes right now at the end of the 12th round. All right, that's the end of that fight right there. All right, well that is the end of the fight right there. We just now await uh, the decision between Joshua Taylor and is Escow Uzman. I think Joshua Taylor got this one though. I think it's an easy victory for Josh Taylor on this one. So the Nottingham Maestro, as they say, the Nottingham Maestro. All right, man. Good fight. Good fight between them. Interesting fight. But standard for Josh Taylor for sure. I've seen your circuit workouts. Do you do any road work? Oh yeah, I do mostly swimming, but not shy of doing some runs, mostly on the treadmill though. But I do mostly on the treadmill, but I do uh, outdoor runs as well. I got some pretty interesting routes out here. In Sacramento, just a little outside of Sacramento, but close to it. But yeah, uh, I do some road work for sure. Yeah. Mostly swimming, only because too I don't want to like damage my joints. Swim. I mean, running overall is not good for your joints, right? I mean, you look at David Goggins. The dude is a mess, bro. He's a mess of a thing. You know what I mean? And the reason why his knees are in bad shape is simply because he runs a lot. I mean, look, it's one thing to run for the Navy SEALs, it's one thing to run for military training for a purpose behind that. But man, oh, speaking of swimming, yeah, I did a swimming stream yesterday. I was swimming in the stream that I was doing yesterday. Let me see if I can pull that up right here. This was yesterday during the Khabib uh thing that I did. Let's see here. Okay, right here. Let me show you guys right here. Yeah, so it's a little swimming right there. But how about this? Joshua Taylor just got upsetted right now. Joshua Taylor was just defeated by Escow on an absolute upset. I mean, look, man, he was right in there the whole entire time, right? Was going forward towards Josh Taylor, was hitting him with some hooks, hitting him with some body shots and all that. Yeah, that's great for cardio. Too bad you're all the way out in Cali. I'd love to train with you for sure. Circuit workouts. Man, I tell you what, bro. As much as you love it, bro, unfortunately, man, there's some people in the gym. I mean, listen, this is not like because ultimately this should be the type of gyms I should go to, are like, private gyms that sort of emphasize circuit training or functional weight training to that degree. But man, there'd be a lot of people that are complaining, talking about like, oh, this is intimidating, or this dude is intimidating, or this and that, or how I'm taking up space, or just all this Karen stuff, right? But you'd be surprised, but I'm glad you do appreciate it. But for some people that are well, how do I say this, defenseless people, or people that are a little bit weak or whatever, they sort of perceive it as somewhat intimidating. I mean, yeah, make of that as you will, but that's the unfortunate thing that has that's happened before. But also make that as you will. Snowflakes, exactly, yeah, a whole lot of snowflakes. And one of the dudes that was complaining about me, the dude had like a support dog all with him. I mean, the dude just looked like, he wasn't all there. You know what I mean? So, yeah, snowflakes. You took the words right out of my mouth on that one for sure. But yeah, how about this upset right now? Ekow just defeated Josh Taylor. Josh Taylor is absolutely distraught, walking back into his locker room right now as Ekow is now one. Congratulations to Osman. Yeah, man. Yeah, that was that. Look, I'm gonna be honest with you, right? I didn't think that he was gonna win that fight going in, because it's Josh Taylor, the former undisputed 140 champion of the world. But he came in here, he did his job, he won, and there you have it. Also, Moises Otama was supposed to fight tonight. I was debating on, what? All right, there's two boxing fights going on. There isn't a UFC fight. Let's cover one of these, right, to get some in the books. I was like, you know what? I'm glad I picked this one instead. You want to know why? Because it was a lot better than what we would expected. Obviously, the upset showed that. The Moises Otama fight, I would imagine that right there is just going to be an easy win for Moises Otama. But then again, you never know. Let's see if there is a Moises Otama card. Where is Moises Otama fighting at? Is he fighting in? Let's see. Did he fight already? Let's see if he did fight. Let's see if YouTube can pull up videos of his recent fights. Maybe he hasn't. Maybe he did or didn't. We'll see. We'll find out right now. We will find out right now. Moses Otama. Ah, all right. It was already 1 hour ago. They already got the highlights of this fight. So, all right, let's see this fight. 8 minutes. Okay, let's. You know what? Uh, let's react to this fight. Let's react to this fight. Obviously, just only the highlight version of it. It's 8 minutes long. But if you guys want to follow along with me, go on the zone right now as we react to fight highlights. Okay, we're gonna react to that one right here. Let's see here. Let's go right here. Okay, let's go. All right, let's watch this right now. Here we go. Round number one. Moises Otama versus, what is this guy's name? Mike Balogun. Mike Balogun versus Moises Otama. Let's go. Trying to be the youngest heavyweight champion right now in this era. So, all right, here we go. Round number one. Good stinging jab right there by Moises Otama. This is for the WBO Intercontinental belt. I didn't know they had Intercontinental Championships in boxing, but they do. Yeah, very quick jab right there. Really quick reaction by Otama right now. We are at the first round, 233, 232. Yeah, very good job doing a jab to the body like that. Yeah, this guy was definitely uh, brought here as a journeyman boxer, right? Just a guy to make a showing in front of Moises Otama. Ooh, there's a shot to the body and right into the head with a cross to follow up. Really good shots right there by Otama. Ooh, good one. The British Slovenian fighter, Moises. Ooh, there's a first knockdown right there in the first round. There's a good knockdown right there by Otama. One, two. Wow, man, that was a good shot right there. Everybody, shout outs. Don't forget to like and subscribe as we are reacting to all the boxing fights that are going on right now in a weekend that there is no UFC. This is an MMA channel, but this weekend it's going to be a boxing show right here. All right, so I'm gonna read. Oh, okay, me to read Abdul Rahim's comments right here. Otama needs to fight White, correct? Chisora, Wilder, Wardley, Clark, Riakpor, Okoli, Andy Ruiz Jr., Hunter, Wilder, Joshua, Fury, Daniel Dubois, and Usyk. He's got a whole lot of work ahead of him, right? That's a wide range of names right there. Clark is a good name that he needs to fight. Uh, Chisora, yeah, that would be a good name too. Wardley is also a good name. Riakpor. Riakpor's in the heavyweight division now. But yeah, man, we're going to talk about that loss from Ekow. I mean, from Josh Taylor. That was a bad loss from Josh Taylor, man. You know, at one point, Josh Taylor looked really invincible. But then also, you got to understand, some guys are just not invincible like that. You know, no one is. And that's sort of the point of the whole thing. Yeah, Otama here looking really good, looking really sharp. We're watching the highlights of him and Mike Balogun right now. But yeah, I agree with you, Abdul Rahim. He needs to fight those people because how are you going to make this guy one of the youngest heavyweight champions of all time, or better yet, beat Mike Tyson's record if you're not already fighting names like that? Because if you want to get up in the upper echelons of the heavyweight division, you got to go up there and fight names like that. Unless, of course, there is a champion out there that is willing to give him a chance. Marty Miller 65 says, "What do you think of the Jake Paul fighting Anthony Joshua?" I don't think that fight is going on. You want to know why I think both of these guys are talking about fighting each other? I think what they are trying to do is they are trying to make jealous of the other possible dance partners that they could have. You understand what I'm saying? So it's like if you see Anthony Joshua poaching Jake Paul and then Jake Paul poaching Anthony Joshua, well, guess who's also going to want to poach him? Tyson Fury, because now he wants that fight even more because now there's a demand for it. And in the ego of Tyson Fury, he's going to believe that he is more popular than uh, Jake Paul, which in some instances he is, but with a hardcore fight fans. Ooh, that was a good hook right there by Moises Otama. Yeah, it's not scheduled, but they've been talking. Yeah, I think they're just using each other to make future dance partners jealous. Meanwhile, let's see how Balogun recovers from this knockdown shot in the second round right now. Let's see how he recovers from this one. Oh, wow. He caught him walking in. Wow, that was it in the second round. He caught him walking in very Conor McGregor and Jose Aldo, like the way that he came in, and then he came in there and counter shot him and just knocked him down. And Mike Balogun just hit the floor just like that as soon as he was walking in there. But brilliant job on the part of Moises Otama. So there it is. There's the Moises Otama fight. That's gone now. And what other fights do we have left here? Okay, let's see here. Let's hear what the DAZN guys are saying right now with this shocking upset. All right. Yeah, not it's not scheduled yet, but yeah. Yeah, I think that's ultimately what won Escow this fight tonight. He was fit, strong, and was just willing to win in ways that Josh Taylor wasn't. Josh Taylor looked very comfortable in this fight. He thought that this was going to be another one of these Mayweather performances where he was going to come in here and just bedazzle Escow and this and that. But Escow had a different thing coming, right? He had a different agenda, and he decided that he was going to take the fight to Josh Taylor. Josh Taylor did some good shots here where he knocked him down a few times, hurt him a few times, but ultimately, man, it just wasn't enough for for Taylor to win, man. These are some good shots by Escow. So I can't blame the judges for calling this one towards his direction right here, man. Can't blame them at all. Ooh, that's a good one. Wow, yeah, good counter shot right there by Escow. Another one. Yeah, so Carl Frampton is being asked in the broadcast, is Josh Taylor going to come back now? And he doesn't seem to think so. He doesn't seem to think so. So a couple of video ideas that I'm gonna have in mind right now. Let's see here. Yeah, I agree. It was a fabulous career for Josh Taylor. He absolutely needs to retire. Guys, stay tuned for the bonus round. We will be here in the next 2 minutes for the bonus round. Don't forget to stay tuned. All right, so here we are, guys. Here we are in the bonus round of the live stream. So obviously, we just witnessed Josh Taylor defeated by Escow. Okay, I see a lot of life lessons we can take from this, right? In particular, the John Jones situation. Okay, because obviously, in this live stream, even though it is an MMA page, I also cover boxing, and there wasn't really a lot of UFC this weekend. So I decided, you know what, I'm going to cover boxing. And I had a few choices. I could have covered Moises Otama live. I didn't cover that one live. Obviously, I reacted to it after the fact. very good performance on the part of Moises Otama, of course, standard. Now, with this fight, it was a little more competitive than obviously the Moises Otama versus Mike Baloney fight or Mike Balogun fight, right? That Mike, whatever his name, generic name is, journeyman guy, right? On any event, not as competitive. This fight right here with Ekow, it was very competitive. I didn't get to see the other co-main events, the other undercards or anything like that. I just went straight into the main event, decided to react to it, and then here we are as a result of it. So during this live stream, John Jones was a big argument point in the whole entire live stream as we're covering this boxing event, right? We're talking about how John Jones should go retire and how and why should he retire, right? So in other words, how is he going to retire? He's going to retire undefeated, which is right now, right? Just go and retire undefeated because it's like staying any longer is going to tarnish your career because people don't want to see you win. They want to see you lose. Now, if you were a figure like Anderson Silva or maybe even GSP, if he was to lose a couple of times, which he did, people still give him a certain amount of respect because he didn't have the scandals that he had going on. Well, now let's fast forward to today. Okay, the only day where there is no UFC and the boxing guys are the attention of it all. Here's Josh Taylor losing this fight. And we got to ask ourselves, what made him lose this fight? Is it the lack of desire? Is it just the sheer age that you experience as time goes on? I mean, the dude was already a former undisputed champion, right? You can retire right there with your head held high and knowing that you've done something that the majority of human beings in the world were not able to do. This is where John Jones is at. He's telling you, you know what? I've done everything that the rest of the world has not done yet. And as a result of that, here I am. Okay? Teofimo Lopez, he just lost to. Jack Catterall, he just lost to. Not bad losses at all, right? Not bad losses at all. But this is his third time losing. Okay? And this wasn't even for a title or anything like that. This was literally for an Intercontinental Championship belt. I mean, look, I'm not exaggerating like I'm talking about professional wrestling here. It's literally an Intercontinental belt. Yes, they have Intercontinental Championships in boxing. Marty Miller says, completely agree on the John Jones take. Yeah, man. Yeah. The only thing that pisses us off about the whole John Jones thing, aside from the fact that there are many people out there that want to see him lose, is that the only thing about this, I want to be very careful about how I say this, right? The only thing about this is that he now has a chance to walk away before it gets worse. Because I've told you guys this earlier. Many people want to see John Jones lose because of all the horrible things that he's done. But at the same time, he doesn't want to see you guys get the satisfaction that he got beat and was given everything that he had deserved to have gotten his way. Right? This is what I tell you guys, right? We all want to live a life of an action movie, right? Good guys versus bad guys. And then the good guys did this and the bad guys did that. And as a result of this, this is the retribution that happened. Many people are so obsessed with this. This is the reason why you want to see that with John Jones. Okay? Now, for example, if Patrick Mahomes was to retire right now, would you guys really be mad at him because he doesn't want to face the upcoming quarterbacks in the next season? I don't think you would. Because the sport will go on. In the NFL, there will always be another Patrick Mahomes. There will always be another Tom Brady. And guess what? Colin Kaepernick learned the hard way that there are other Colin Kaepernicks out there in the world, and the NFL, quite frankly, didn't need him to any degree. So the only difference is that in the sport of fighting, we need the guy to show up for the next fight, the next season. You can win a Super Bowl championship this year, but you don't have to play the next year and just go out on top. In fact, I think that's how Tom Brady went out, right? Didn't he go out like that? He went out with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I believe. Let me make sure, right? Because I don't know a lot about football, but I just want to, yeah, confirm. Man's 47 years old already. Because yeah, he was born in the 70s. Okay, so his final season. Let's take a look at uh, Tom Brady's final season. Okay, retirement for good. Okay, in first time 2013 that Brady lost in the playoffs in consecutive seasons. Okay, so all right, I guess he didn't retire. Not sure. I can't watch other sports. I agree with you, man. That's why I had to look this up, right? I'm not NFL aficionado in any kind of way. You know what? Maybe I should bring some homies on here that are NFL experts, but then I don't know how that would go well into the conversation if they're not fight guys. But yeah, man, I agree with you. I can't watch any other fight, any other sport as well. Marty Miller also says only fighting for me. Correct. And me as well. Everything else is boring. Correct. Yeah, yeah. It's all fighting for me as well. So if it's not boxing, it's Muay Thai, and if it's not Muay Thai or boxing, it's MMA. If it's not MMA, it's Jiu-Jitsu. And if it's not any of those things, and we want a little bit more spice to our entertainment, it's pro wrestling. So anything with a ring, a cage, or mat, or anything that has a one-on-one competition setting, our eyes are locked in on it, and you are in the right channel to do so. So yeah, I don't think Tom Brady went out on top either. Yeah, I don't think he went out on top either. Yeah, he did not go out on top. Announced to social media that he's retiring for good. Uh, he filed his retirement papers with the NFL. The NFLPA 9 days later. Okay, so there's something that you have to fill out for your retirement during a halfway ceremony. Wow, so you got to fill out something, right? See, that shows you what kind of differences of sport we're dealing with, right? In the MMA, you can be George St. Pierre at UFC 167 in your last fight, or at least your last welterweight fight against Johnny Hendricks, and say that, you know what, I'm done from here, right? And then there would be no problem. You wouldn't have to sign any papers or anything like that because your contract is ultimately frozen up until you come back and fight, and ultimately you come back and fight again in the UFC. So there's that. Uh, but yeah, okay. So Moises Otama was in this card. Okay, so yeah, I guess I was a little mistaken there that I didn't know that Moises Otama was in this card because they're already showing the highlights of this. But okay, yeah, right away they're showing the highlights of the fights straight away with some music playing in the background. So very interesting how production just comes up with a post-fight reaction or a post-fight uh, recap like that so quickly. But of course, the power of modern technology as we speak. So yeah, all right. So okay, what is the next fight card that we have going on with the UFC? We can stay a little bit longer. We'll wait till we get the certain numbers that we need for this live stream, and then let's take a look at what else is on the UFC calendar right now. So Gilbert Burns and Morales had just passed. We got Aaron Blanchfield taking on Macy Barber coming up in May 31st. Okay, so Aaron Blanchfield and Macy Barber. Gamrot is in this card, taking on Ludwig Klein. That's a pretty good card. That a pretty good co-main event, rather. Dustin Jacoby taking on Bruno Lopez, light heavyweight division. Middleweight division, Zachary Reese taking on Dusko Dragovich. And that is the main part of that fight. Now, what are the co-main events right here? So obviously, it starts out with the women's strawweight division. Rayan Dos Santos takes on Alice Adderlane. Bolaj Oki taking on Markel Medeiros. Kurt Hollaball, lightweight division, taking on Jordan Levitt, the very zesty Jordan Levitt, right? Very zesty, that guy. Andres Gustafsson. How about this against Trevin Giles? Is this a Gustafsson that I think he is? Is he the brother of Alexander Gustafsson? Where does he fight at? Okay, no, this is not that Gustafsson because obviously he trains elsewhere. But okay, he's taking on Trevin Giles. Now, why is this a catchweight fight? It's already a catchweight fight, and it's going on next week. Maybe they called them at a short notice. So obviously, Trevin Giles fights in the UFC, but is also Houston PD. It's also a cop as well. So what else? Trevin Giles. Then you got Caitlin Vieira taking on Maisie Chazon. All right, so that's the next card you got coming up. And then right after that, you have UFC 316, Merab versus O'Malley. Now, with the rumors going around with Merab having an injured toe, remember what I told you guys earlier. Maybe Sandhagen and O'Malley can go on for the interim title. That's probably the best bet if Merab is really serious about his losses here. Look, Merab has 4 losses, right? Let's not forget. But somewhere along the lines, he sort of fixed his mistakes and looks so unstoppable now. Juliana Pena taking on Kayla Harrison. Now, Kayla Harrison is somebody that's trained all her life. Juliana Pena is somebody that sort of developed into being a mixed martial artist, right? In other words, she trained herself to be a badass later on in her adulthood. Kayla Harrison has been a badass training as such all throughout her career. Kelvin Gastelum taking on Joe Pfeiffer. Obviously, that was a leftover from UFC Mexico that could not happen because Joe Pfeiffer had these racist ideas that he thought Mexico affected his health in some kind of way. And then how about this? Ooh, I'm so excited for this one. This is the perfect opener for the UFC's main card in the pay-per-view. Patchy Mix taking on Mario Batista. What a great way to introduce you to the UFC after becoming a star in Bellator. 20-1 in his whole entire record. Very good record. There's a lot of potential there, especially at bantamweight. And then you got the bantamweight championship on top. Look, imagine this, right? O'Malley, Merab is gone, right? Okay, we know Merab is probably the only one that's going to be gone here, but hypothetical scenario, Sean O'Malley is out. He's out of the fight. Patchy Mix comes in and gets a title shot on his UFC debut. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? On your UFC debut, you win the title. Wow. That is amazing. Oh, yeah, and that's right. Pitbull stepped in for Cheeto. He did. Yes, did he? Wait, did he? Well, it's Patchy Mix now. So, yeah, this isn't his debut. He lost to Yair. No, Patchy Mix. Yeah, it's Patchy Mix, not Patricio Pitbull, another Bellator guy. And by the way, that Pitbull, even though he did fight at 135, he's fighting up at 145 officially. But yeah, Patchy Mix is he's a different dude. He's a light-skinned black dude that fought out of Bellator. My fault. I got them. Yeah. It's easy to mix them up because Bellator, listen, it's not your fault. You know whose fault it is? It's Bellator's fault because they can't help even the most hardcore fans differentiate the difference between their fighters. Now you just think everyone's the same. You know, for example, you say something like Aaron Pico. Oh, who's that? Oh, the Bellator guy. Oh, wait, is that Michael Chandler? That says the casual. You know what I mean? Like, so, yeah, that's Bellator's fault, right? They don't do a very good job of really promoting their fighters in that kind of way. How about this? In the preliminary, Vicente Luque versus Kevin Holland. And we're talking, and then that's it. They don't really have anything after that. And then Bruno Silva taking on Joshua Van. I am really high up on Joshua Van, bro. I really am. I think he's one of my favorite flyweights right now, Joshua Van. Right? I like the kid, really solid, real natural fighter. Really interesting backstory too. You know, he got into MMA only because of Conor McGregor boxing Floyd Mayweather. Now, when I tell you that Conor McGregor is a very influential figure in MMA, this is a prime example of that. Can't wait to see Pico fight Evloev. Oh, I can't wait to see that fight as well. Now, in the early prelims, how about this? Looks like they got a pretty stacked. No, it's not stacked. I mean, it's Azmat Morzakhanov taking on Johnny Walker, 14-0 at light heavyweight. Azmat is a 5'8", 205er. Okay, so very short and stocky, but the man is 14-0. Okay, so this is a serious dude, 14-0. Of course, a lot of people would probably say, well, you're too short for the division. Maybe you should go down. He says, I'm 14-0. You know, I'm all right up here. I can handle being up here with the big boys, he said. He can handle being up there with the big boys, and that's what it is right there. Ariane Lipsky taking on Wang Kong, 7-1. Ariane Lipsky, 17-10. A bit of a journeywoman taking on the top prospect in Wang Kong. Now let's take a look at Wang Kong and her previous fights that she's had going on. Okay, so 32 years old. Bruna Silva was her last win. Before that, it was Gabriela Fernandez. One of her most notable wins was against Yu Yanan in Bangkok. That fight was in Bangkok. And then against Victoria Leonardo, which took place with Cannonier versus Borjalo back in August of 2024, which was last year. She also has a kickboxing record. All right, what is the kickboxing record she has going on here? It doesn't say the exact record she has. It just shows it incomplete. This is what you get out of a lot of kickboxing records, right? This is usually what you get. So a lot of these guys and gals, right, they have so much fights in kickboxing. A lot of them are not accounted for. And then a lot of them are not exactly big household names either, right? They don't have their own Wikipedia page. But if you notice, back in 2015, in kickboxing, she did fight Valentina Shevchenko, which was in China. I believe that was, that was the Kung Lan Fight 33 card that they had going on. So, yeah, she's been in some high-level kickboxing fights. So this is somebody to really look forward to in this division right here. So moving along. Jekka Sarij taking on Yu Jo Sang. That's a pretty good fight. How about this? Yanal Hamouche taking on Kilian Skelin. Now, I want to tell you about this guy right here. Really interesting fact about this brother right here. This guy flies under the Israeli flag. Okay, when you look at his stats, it's under the Israeli flag. You want to know what's significant about that? What's really interesting about the fact that he is representing Israel? He's a Muslim. Okay, that's why when I first saw this guy, I said, wait a minute, is this an Israeli guy? You know, like some kind of, redheaded Israeli? But lo and behold, he's a ginger Arab Muslim guy, right? So I thought that was pretty fascinating. Well, he is the first fight of UFC 316. How about that, man? UFC 316, man. They need to have Stone Cold Steve Austin as the host of UFC 316. What do you guys think? What do you guys think? 316, Stone Cold Steve Austin. What do you guys think? Man, maybe not. Maybe not. But June 7th, yeah, that's where it's at. June 7th, that should be an international fight card. But the thing is, with International Fight Week, they've made it into June as of lately, and not so much July. I don't know why. I don't know what the switch up was of that particular date, or if there's any particular reason to that. But I don't know, man. Let's see what else here. Yeah. Hmm. Yeah. International Fight Week, man. That's when Alex Pereira was supposed to fight in International Fight Week, but they didn't. Look, this is the thing with the UFC. They got to constantly put cards on, constantly on and on and on and on, right? So it's what they have to do. Let me give you guys a little bit of an audio from what I did with the Alex Pereira video 2 weeks ago regarding that particular matter when they were talking about him getting hacked or something to that extent. But yeah, let's listen on to this one right now in audio form. Alex Pereira says he was hacked. Is it true? Well, I'm going to lean towards no. I'm going to tell you why. The reason is, let's look at it like this, right? Alex Pereira has done everything that the UFC has asked of him. Conor McGregor card falls off, throws in Alex. He goes in there on a short notice. Another superstar falls off through an injury. Here comes Alex, rescuing the entire show, headlines the entire pay-per-view, and gets another knockout. Does the UFC another favor, takes on a dangerous challenger, and Ankalaev loses a 5-round decision. Of course, some will look at it as controversial and it could have gone the other way, but nonetheless, he was in there. He was in the fire. He won some, he lost some, and he won more some than he did actually lose one. But this particular battle that he has going on with the UFC on the low, I think he is absolutely losing the negotiating battle. Now, why do I say that? Because obviously the message that he spoke about, where he was unhappy with the UFC, he was unhappy with the situation, he felt like whatever it is that he was going through was not being appreciated. And so he feels the need to possibly retire because what else is there to accomplish? Alex has already gotten 2 multiple belts in not only glory, but also in the UFC. It's a great career, both in kickboxing and MMA. And on top of that, I'm sure he's made plenty of money to retire, but that's neither here or there. What I'm saying is that when it comes to leverage, hey, he has some kind of leverage in terms of getting out of. Alex Pereira says he was hacked. Is it true? Well, I'm going to lean towards no. I'm going to tell you why. The reason is, let's look at it like this, right? Alex Pereira has done everything that the UFC has asked of him. Conor McGregor card falls off, throws in Alex. He goes in there on a short notice. Another superstar falls off through an injury. Here comes Alex, rescuing the entire show, headlines the entire pay-per-view, and gets another knockout. Does the UFC another favor, takes on a dangerous challenger, and Ankalaev loses a 5-round decision. Of course, some will look at it as controversial and it could have gone the other way, but nonetheless, he was in there. He was in the fire. He won some, he lost some, and he won more some than he did actually lose one. But this particular battle that he has going on with the UFC on the low, I think he is absolutely losing the negotiating battle. Now, why do I say that? Because obviously the message that he spoke about, where he was unhappy with the UFC, he was unhappy with the situation, he felt like whatever it is that he was going through was not being appreciated. And so he feels the need to possibly retire because what else is there to accomplish? Alex has already gotten 2 multiple belts in not only glory, but also in uh, in the UFC. It's a great career, both in kickboxing and MMA. And on top of that, I'm sure he's made plenty of money to retire, but that's neither here or there. What I'm saying is that when it comes to leverage, hey, he has some kind of leverage in terms of getting out of a situation that he doesn't want to be in. Now, what is it about this situation that he doesn't want to be in? Well, we're not really sure, right? And again, there's a lot of cryptic message going on here, but it is, however, on the internet, and you know how they say, right? Whatever is on the internet is there forever, and it's going to be there for people to scrutinize in every kind of way. So look at it like this, right? Alex Pereira has been a good soldier for the UFC, but the UFC is bigger than every individual. The quintessential term, nobody is bigger than the program. Nobody's bigger than the program when it comes to the UFC, okay? Because their brand and their logo is way bigger than any logo of any fighter. And let me explain why that is. Because every fighter that has grown up to wanting to be an MMA fighter has looked at those logos and said to themselves, this is where I'm going to aspire to be, no matter how big you are. Even if it's Anderson Silva with that symbol, Michael Jordan-like symbol that he has where he has the front kick towards Vitor Belfort, right? That's an iconic symbol for Anderson Silva. The other symbol for Chuck Liddell having those ice coming out of his shorts and then the flames that comes out of Tito Ortiz and all of that. All of these things, right? They're all logos for these fighters. George St. Pierre with the whole Japanese gi outfit for karate and then jiu-jitsu and all of that, right? All of these things, yes, they are a logo for each and every one of these fighters. But remember this. The reason why Alex is losing his battle is because nobody is bigger than the program, and whatever top symbols you see or whatever icons you see from these legends, they will never be bigger than the icon and the symbol of the UFC because nobody is bigger than the program, and that's something that Alex is now understanding when it comes to these negotiation tables that are going on behind the scenes. So with that in mind, that is all that I have for this. Yeah, I 100% agree on that, right? I don't think that he was hacked whatsoever, right? The reason why he's saying that he's hacked is because he's trying to save face, right? He's trying to make it seem like to the UFC, look, I'm a good partner. I'm a good collaborator of some sort. Marty Miller says, did you see Gable Stevenson is having a match against Craig Jones? Ooh, okay, that's interesting. In a grappling match, I would assume, right? Speaking of grappling, Craig Jones is going head to head with the UFC because the UFC right now, they want to take over grappling. That's right. They want to take over grappling. Oh, yeah. They want to take over grappling. And I'm going to tell you right now about grappling. It is way worse than the pay structure of the UFC. Okay, I'm going to add that to the description right now, right? Grappling leagues taken over by the UFC. Or by. Okay, so the worst pay structure ever. Okay, he's just going to get a leg lock. He's just going to leg lock him, I bet. Yeah. That's usually what top level jujitsu guys will do against a guy that is a wrestler but is very inexperienced in the submission aspects of grappling. So yeah, I reckon he would do that as well. Look, the pay structure of grappling is so horrible. Okay, they give you a show money. You show up, you don't even get a win money. The only time you get a bonus out of the win money is if you get a submission. And you're talking about the highest level, the highest form of grappling competitions. You understand? This is the highest form of grappling competitions. And they're only giving you that much. I want you to put that in perspective. That is all that you're getting is a one-time salary, not even a full pay of any kind, right? So in other words, you're not getting any incentives of winning or anything like that. You just show up, and if you win by points, it is as if you just showed up. You just showed up with a show money, but no win money. That's what's weird about this. So their pay structure is even worse. But at the same time, A lot of guys complain about the pay structure of MMA, of boxing, and this and that. But the question is, man, do some of you guys that complain about the pay, have you really earned the type of pay that you're getting? Because look, I'm going to tell you something why a lot of fighters think they deserve a lot more pay than what they really do, right? I'm going to break something to you guys that may really break a lot of your hearts, okay? And it's regarding fighters. Are you ready for this? I'm not sure if you're ready for me to say this. All right, I'll say it right now. Fighters are the most selfish human beings there are on earth. So as a result of that, can you really blame these guys for thinking that they deserve a whole lot more money than what they actually deserve? You know who is an advocate against fighter pay, right? Is MMA Guru. I know why he is against fighter pay. And I'm going to explain to you and it's not personal. It's not because the man lives in his mom's basement and he's never accomplished anything in his life and therefore he doesn't want to see these fighters do good. No, it has nothing to do with that. He's a genuine fan, MMA Guru. Not only is he a genuine fan, he's a genuine fan of his own channel in regards to what type of attention his channel is going to get with the type of fights he's going to cover. So in other words, he wants the UFC to do good, but he also needs the UFC to keep coming up with banger matches after banger matches. Let me let you in on a little content creator secret, right? A little MMA YouTube secret. The better the fights are, the better the event is, the better your channel does. And that goes for everybody, not just myself, right? And that's the beautiful thing about YouTube is that it's not one of these scarcity mentalities where like, oh, I got to fight for my audience and this and that. I have to fight for your time and my time or this and that. If you are in the MMA space and you're knowledgeable enough, you have good enough personality, you have good enough articulation that people can listen and relate to, you're going to get a decent amount of views. And then if you're starting out as a smaller channel, eventually you're going to grow and you're going to build off of that particular fighting niche that you cover, whether that would be MMA, boxing, Muay Thai, grappling, the list goes on, right? Eventually, you'll get there because there are people out there who have the same similar interest as you, but sometimes the big media conglomerates are not covering it, right? So MMA Guru wants the fighters to stay poor. He wants them to stay hungry because the hungrier that they are, the easier it is for them to accept these fights that are in front of them. And this is a fact. Jon Jones is not accepting this fight with Tom Aspinall right now because he has way too much money. And when you have too much money, these are the consequences. The consequences as follows. You got too many people that already have money. And then on top of that, it's becoming like boxing where the fights are a lot harder to make. Meanwhile, in boxing, it's never been easier to make a high-level fight, a fight between two guys that are at the top of their divisions, at the top of their rankings, at the top of their organizational rankings, whether that would be the WBC, WBA, the list goes on, right? A lot easier to make these fights. And then superstars that have high rankings, that have championship belts. Boxing is at its all-time best right now. Whereas with MMA, you know what? It's becoming like boxing. Because right now, ever since Conor McGregor, a lot of guys have been getting paid pretty good. Okay, now obviously, and not always life-changing money for everybody, but still life-changing money for some. Okay, and put that in perspective. It's life-changing money for some. Not all, obviously, but for enough people that it's life-changing money. So now, Jon Jones has already had life-changing money all throughout his years. Let's analyze and look at why Jon Jones doesn't want to fight anymore, because we're going to look at Jon Jones's pay-per-view numbers. Okay, that's what we're going to do right now. Okay, so pay-per-view buys on Topology. Let's see here. What is the top? So, okay, the top two pay-per-view buys of all time is Mayweather and Pacquiao and Mayweather and McGregor. So it's all Mayweather. And then Mayweather and De La Hoya back in '07. So, and then UFC 229. And then Mayweather and Canelo, that was a big one as well. UFC 202, that was a big one. 1.6 back in 2016. Conor McGregor and Dustin Poirier, man, they did very good numbers in that one. Fury versus Usyk, that was the first fight with Fury and Usyk. Let me show you guys what I'm looking at right here. And then Triple G, Manny Pacquiao and Mosley did pretty good. Conor versus Alvarez did pretty good. Usman versus Masvidal, that was during the pandemic. Yeah, that definitely did good. UFC 100, De La Hoya versus Pacquiao, Mayweather versus Ortiz, Danny Garcia, UFC 193. And then, yeah, I mean, at that point, then it's just, millions. And Weidman versus Silva, that was, yeah, so it just becomes millions after millions. So nowhere near here is John Jones. But then again, okay, Cormier and Jones right here. So somewhere in the under a million. That's where Jones is at. Is he up here to any degree? No, he's not. He's not right up there at all. Mendez versus McGregor, there he is again. And then there's Pierre and Jake Shields. What did that do? Just under a million, but that was a different time, a different year. There's John Jones again, right there. 182 that was. There's St. Pierre once again. There's Brock Lesnar again. There's Anderson Silva again. And then there's John Jones again, UFC 232. Wow, okay, and that wasn't too long ago. That was 2018. Usman versus Covington, barely a million. Liddell versus Jackson back in '07, that was barely a million. Breaking Point, UFC 81. Evans versus Machida, Adesanya versus Vittori. Yeah, not a lot of Shogun, not a lot of John Jones fights. Okay, there's Vitor Belfort right there. Didn't you train with Mendez? Yes, I did. Yeah, I trained with Chad Mendez and with TJ Dillashaw as well. Pacquiao versus Broner. Okay, so the list goes on. So the lowest. Okay, UFC 6 was. We're talking about okay, so that's what this is considered a low pay-per-view number, right? And then anything lower than this, they don't even add here into the mix, But yeah, John Jones. Okay, so we're looking at overall pay-per-views, right? But what about John Jones's pay-per-view buys? Okay, anything that deals with John Jones's fights, John Jones's pay-per-view buys is expected to be available. Okay, no, that's not it. The number of times each fighter headlined a pay-per-view. How much? Okay, John Jones's long-awaited return paid off by the UFC newly. Okay. How does John Jones's pay-per-view history compare with the best? Okay, this is a good article right here. This was in 2021. Okay, 2021. How does John Jones's pay-per-view history compare with the best-selling pay-per-view events of all time? Let's take a look at and read this article right here. This was back in 2021. So keep in mind, okay? All right. So UFC and John Jones are at loggerheads over money. The former UFC light heavyweight champion wants a significant bump in pay to fight the new heavyweight champion, Francis Ngannou. By the way, keep in mind, this was in UFC. This was when Francis Ngannou was UFC champion. Didn't the Stipe fight sell well? Let's take a look at that, Marty Miller. Let's take a look at the pay-per-view buys for UFC 309. UFC 309 pay-per-view buys. Let's take a look at. So, okay, UFC 309, starring John Jones and Charles Oliveira, achieved. Wow. Okay, so it's only John Jones and Charles Oliveira as the starting role of this. If this was a movie, what about Stipe? But on any regard, yeah, Oliveira achieved record-breaking numbers, surpassing UFC pay-per-view events, according to Marca and other sources. The gate 16.6 million with attendees of 20,000 in Madison Square Garden, was the highest in UFC's history, even surpassing the iconic UFC 300 gate of 16.5 million. Okay, so what about pay-per-view buys though? Would it make UFC no, they're not talking about the UFC pay-per-view buys. Let's see here. This is 309. That doesn't say. It doesn't say the pay-per-view buys. Let's see. How much did the pay-per-view? Okay, no, they're talking about the athletes that made money. Yeah, Stipe isn't appreciated enough. Didn't he have the most wins and most defenses in UFC's heavyweight division? You know what? I think at this point right now. So here's the thing, right? You want to know what really ruins Jake Paul? I'm sorry, what really ruins uh Tom Aspinall? What really ruins him right now is the fact that he did not achieve the record-breaking title defenses. He could win these title defenses easily. Let's go through the line. Imagine a world without John Jones, okay? Let's take a look at this. John Jones versus Stipe. Okay, that's one defense. Okay, so we can argue there's one defense already. Let's say he fights Cyril Gane again. That's a possibility. That's another. That's two right there. Who else other than Cyril Gane? Other than Stipe? So now we got two: Cyril Gane, Stipe, and then the third one. You just got to throw somebody in there random, whoever that may be. All right. How about Curtis Blades again? Right, for the third time. Remember, first time it was controversial. He got finished within 15 seconds. I know people are saying, oh, that's a fluke or this and that. No, the leg kicks is what did it. You know, he checked the kicks correctly, and as a result, it really put Tom Aspinall out. And then credit to Tom, the next time around, he was dominant against Curtis Blades. Okay, now they got a trilogy. Okay, so he'll win that one. Now he's tied. Now he just needs one more. Okay, then there's John Jones or maybe Stipe, or just like that. He could easily tie and beat it within 2 years. Within 2 years, I think he can beat. But yeah, man, make no mistake. Stipe right now, most title defenses ever in the heavyweight division, and that was just how the cookie crumbled. There was nothing that you could really do about that, and that's really what it was and what it came down to. So yeah, man, something to think about right there, right? His career has been delayed as of late. Let's see, what else did I have? So I'm actually going to make a video about this, right? Nate Diaz getting into a fight in Thailand with some Russian fighters, right? This was a long time coming. I'm going to be honest with you, right? A very long time coming. Because look, you got to understand, Josh Taylor. I'm reading multiple things at once right now, so I'm like talking a whole bunch of different, mix and match stuff. Sorry, Khabib and Nate Diaz, they've had beef for a very long time. Okay, it's funny because Nate Diaz doesn't think Khabib is a real fighter, which is weird because for him, anybody that somehow takes down another person and keeps him down there is somehow not a real fighter, which is weird. And then for Khabib, he just doesn't understand how people could possibly like Nick or Nate Diaz at all. Like, he just doesn't understand it. And again, Khabib is not part of this culture. He's not part of the California culture or anything like that. So he really doesn't know or understand why. Marty Miller says, I think it was Stipe versus DC2 whenever Stipe won with the body shot. Maybe one of the best modern fights, mod adjustments ever. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, he did catch DC with that one, man. That was a pretty good fight, man. But on any regard, even Stipe during that fight, he still looked vulnerable against DC. The fact that he did get knocked out by DC in the first fight alone just showed me why he would have never belonged in there with John Jones in the first place. But nonetheless, it's a name that John Jones wanted to put on his resume simply because of what Marty Miller here said. And by the way, what I'm going to do with that comment right now is replace it as the top pin message over mine. Yes, Stipe is not appreciated enough. And as such, of not being appreciated, this is also the reason why many people are not giving John Jones his credit that he deserves. Now, I get it, though. This is a Stipe Miocic that was over the hill. This was a Stipe Miocic that had no business being in there, especially against John Jones. So what do you expect people to think? But at the same time, it's the record. It is the record that John Jones was after. Just like Tom asked, I'm sorry, just like Jake Paul against Mike Tyson. What was he after? He was after the record and the recognition of Mike Tyson. That was it. That was all that he wanted. That was all that he wanted. He wanted the notoriety that came with beating Mike Tyson. And as such, that is the only reason why he took that fight. Otherwise, he would have never taken that fight. Jake Paul would have never taken that fight if it was just any other old man. Let's say if it was Shannon Briggs. Could he fight Shannon Briggs right now? Maybe. I think he can. But that's besides the point. You see, it would be useless to do so because he offers him nothing. He doesn't have the accolades or the name value that Mike Tyson has. So as a result of that, it just seems like a very pointless endeavor for him to, be a part of, right? But this one isn't. Now, the age factor that you're talking about, oh, well, he's old. Mike Tyson was old and Stipe was old. And that's, by the way, sort of the entire focal point of that whole entire weekend. Because if you remember, the fight between Jake Paul and Mike Tyson was in the same weekend as John Jones and Stipe, which was a great concept. You got big name boxing on Friday, right? Similar to what you were going to get with Canelo and Allegiant Stadium. And then you were going to get UFC on the weekends. But then again, it's sort of like weird how it is Terrence Crawford and Canelo opening up for UFC, right? It's kind of a weird thing. So they scratched that altogether. But that concept, I mean, you can argue that came from the Jake Paul and the John Jones Stipe concept. That weekend of UFC 309, I got to tell you, that was a different week. Okay, that was a totally different week in terms of how we were going to view combat sports forever, in terms of its marketing, in terms of the Netflix deal, and also in terms of how they are now going to cooperate with the UFC on a weekly basis, right? Because that's all that it really came down to, was just nothing more than cooperation with each other. It's all it was. It's just nothing more than cooperation with all the top combat sports teams. I'm sorry, combat sports. The combat sports fights that were going on in every weekend. Every weekend. Look, I always thought that boxing and MMA were the same sport, right? In a way where it's the same culture. The only difference is that when you get in that ring, it becomes a different set of rules that you have to oblige by. Now, other than that, the one thing that I can say is if you're a fan of both boxing and MMA, I think this is the best time to live. you remember back in 2011 when David Haye was the top of the heavyweight division, even the cruiserweight division, goes back and forth and this and that. There was George St. Pierre on the other side. While Tyson Fury was fighting for a British heavyweight title, Cain Velasquez was already the heavyweight champion of the world in the UFC. And weirdly enough, if you remember, there was one challenge that I believe Tyson Fury made towards Cain Velasquez while he was champion, if you guys remember that particular incident vividly. So I'm watching these two worlds in a simultaneous motion, right? You look at Eddie Hearn, there was also another situation where he went to an Amir Khan fight literally on the same week as there was a Brock Lesnar fight going on in Las Vegas. Okay, if you guys remember that, if you remember that vividly, let me know on the chats below. But yeah, I remember he was saying that he went to go see the UFC fight. He was a bit of a casual fan during that time. And I said to myself, wow, man, these sports are really connected together in a way that a lot of people just don't know, don't understand, or don't really get a grasp of, right? Like a lot of people don't understand that there are connections to these two sports together, especially if they are coming on in the same weekends, right? All the time, it's been going on like that. I'll name a couple of boxing fights where it simultaneously coincided with a UFC event. Okay, so Errol Spence versus Mikey Garcia. You want to know who was the top UFC billing on that day? It was Jorge Masvidal versus Darren Till. And where's Darren Till now? Darren Till is in the world of boxing. Where is Jorge Masvidal now? Jorge Masvidal is damn near retired, or is on the verge of retiring, but not really, or is in and out of the sport, but still as a part of a personality. Nonetheless, he made a lot of money in this game, and as a result of that, he really put himself in a different bracket of stratosphere when it comes to wealth and personal growth in that particular development. On that same day, also Mikey Garcia, now he's retired, and Errol Spence is still fighting, but had a big matchup that he had with Errol Spence and had that car accident ever since, right? So very interesting, right? That was on the same day. How about the BMF card between Nate Diaz and Jorge Masvidal? Once again, you know who was fighting on that day? It was Sergey Kovalev taking on Canelo Alvarez. Okay. What's another Boxing Day, MMA day that was going on? UFC London, the rematch between Anthony Joshua and Leon Edwards. That was on the same day that I believe Usyk rematched Anthony Joshua. I believe. Let me make sure of that. Let's take a look at that date. Usyk versus Joshua 2. When did that fight take place? That fight took place in August 20th, 2022. All right. And when did when did Edwards versus Usman 2 take place? No, it's Usman 3. Sorry. Usman 3. When did that take place? So that was in also, yeah, that was in London. That was in, no. Okay, wait. Okay, 2. When was, okay, I'm sorry. So Usman and 2, it was on, yeah, the 20th, on the same day as Alexander Usyk and Joshua Part 2. So as it was Part 2 for Anthony Joshua and Alexander Usyk, it was fight number 2 for Kamaru Usman and Leon Edwards. That night, listen, everybody, I got a story for that one, right? The same day that Leon Edwards and Anthony Joshua fought. Man, I'm telling you, that day, the British public gave no love to Leon Edwards, as well as they should. This was a man that was going over to Utah in enemy territory. Usman was the American fighter. Usman was the proximate person of that particular location because he wrestled and grew up in Nebraska, and this fight was in Utah. So yeah, uh, he was an enemy territory, an English guy, right? But then so was Anthony Joshua. But everybody was focused on Anthony Joshua. Marty Miller here says, uh, crazy that there was hardly any hype around Diaz and Masvidal boxing match. Yeah. Oh, you know what? That's right. They did rematch in the boxing match, and Nate Diaz won that one. Yeah, man, because nobody was really interested in seeing them in that particular light. And then on top of that, think of this, right? That shows you the power of promotion. Okay. Now, I understand that there was a result that came out of that fight and in the interest for seeing it again. Nonetheless, the controversy in and of itself should have been enough for people to be intrigued, especially in a different rule set. And then you had Donald Trump the first time that he came to a UFC event. But yeah, man, that's unfortunately the way that it is. Wasn't there a big boxing match on the same day as UFC 300? That's a very good point. Let me see here. UFC 300. When was that one? UFC 300 was Jamal Hill. Okay, so that was on April 13th, 2024. So let me see. April 13th. Uh, April 13th, 2024 boxing match. Okay, what was on no, I put 25. That's not right. 24. What was going on in that day? What was a major boxing fight going on in that day? Uh McQueen versus Betley? No. No, there was nothing too significant. Hold on, no, that's not it. Yeah, there's nothing too significant on that day. I don't remember. Okay, and so then Marty Miller says, gotta eat dinner with the wife. Okay, so much love to you. Love the stream today, brother. Thank you. You have the best combat sports takes on the internet. I'll definitely be back for the next one. Have a great night. Thank you, my man. Shout out to you. Yes, Stipe isn't okay. Yeah, I read that part. Okay, that was the part that I sort of pinned. But yeah, so that's what it is. There's a lot of these boxing events that coincide with MMA events, right? And I think on that day, Jared and Fa Ajagba, I don't know, but other than that, yeah, that's been a history of that. Now that we've seen a history of that, we're now going to see it even more and more now as time goes on and as time permits. But on any regard, speaking of time permits, that is all that I really have for this one right now. So let's recap a couple of things that we talked about, other than the Taylor and Esco fight. Obviously, that was a shocker. This boxing match, we didn't expect Esco to win, but he did. Shout out to Taylor. I think this is his third loss in a row. Uh, Again, it's one of those things that kind of calls for a retirement after the fact, but one never knows. Maybe Taylor wants to come back, get an easy win, just go out with a win, which I think is important to do. I mean, obviously, Prince Naseem sort of did that, right? He went out with a big loss against Barrera, only to come back with a big win. Well, not a big win, but just, a regular win as he was exiting out to his last fight. Speaking of which, you know what? Let's watch the last fight of that's what I'm going to close this off at, right? Just a little bonus stream. We're going to watch the last fight of Prince Naseem. Okay, last fight of Prince Naseem Hamed. We're going to react to it right now. The fight that buried Prince Naseem's career? What is this? Hold on. Okay, let's watch this, and then let's watch the last fight of Prince Naseem Hamed. Okay. Who did he fight in this fight right here? Let's see here. Who was Prince Naseem's last fight? Okay, so my man's already 51 years old. All right, man. Let's see here. Manuel Calvo. Okay, and that was in London, and it was for the vacant WBO featherweight title. Okay, so that was the last fight that he ever had was against Manuel Calvo. Okay. Uh, and obviously, when you look at the record of Manuel Calvo, oh man, Manuel Calvo, he didn't have a Wikipedia, right? So something to think about right there. Obviously, it was a setup fight to sort of give Nas a good account of himself at the end of his fight. So let's take a look at that, right? In dedication to Josh Taylor and his possible last fighting out. Okay, let's watch this video first and let's see what this is about. Boxing, shout out to Boxing History EN, the fight that buried Prince Naseem Hamed's career. Let's watch this.
He became one of the brightest boxers of the 90s and ended his career unable to survive the only defeat. Today we will talk about the legendary fight that buried the career of Prince Naseem Hamed, and we will reveal all the details of the famous fight against Marco Antonio Barrera, one of the best fights of 2001.
Okay, so one of the best fights of 2001, but not only that, it was a fight that he lost, and a fight that he had lost terribly. Okay, but then after this fight, then we're going to react to his last fight, if there is a footage of it, which I'm sure there is.
When featherweight Naseem entered the British ring in 1992, many at first mistook him for a funny and incredibly talented jerk. But very soon they had to change their minds.
Of course, anytime in British boxing where you show a little bit of swag, a little bit of jazz and pizzazz and all of that, people are always going to think of you as a jerk, right? They're doing it right now to, what's his name? Who are they doing that right now to? Ben Whittaker. They're doing that to Ben Whittaker right now. That's just how the British are. Man, I don't know what it is, bro. Listen, I got a lot of British homies. Okay, no offense to you guys, but a lot of y'all are some haters, bro. Like straight up, man. British people are some straight up haters. They really are some haters. Like they don't like, man. It's weird, man. But I'll explain further as we go on.
This Yemeni Arab from Sheffield immediately managed to stand out from the crowd, which was not so easy in a country that was experiencing a boxing boom. By the time...
So, okay, during the time that Prince Naseem Hamed was coming up, it was experiencing a boxing boom. And you got to remember, this was at the time when there was no internet. So the fact that there was no internet back then, Prince Naseem had to stand out. And this is the way that you stand out. You got to be loud. You got to be boisterous. You got to be Conor McGregor-like. And it is no wonder that Conor McGregor looks up to Prince Naseem in a very heavy way because, let's be honest, okay, he learned his game from the man right here.
Of 2001, the famous Prince Naseem Hamed had collected all possible featherweight titles. He held the WBC, IBF, WBO belts, and the Ring magazine title, which was rapidly gaining popularity among the mainstream versions. The situation was overshadowed by the separation of Naseem from his longtime mentor, Brendan Ingle. Hamed began to work with the famous Emanuel Stewart, but a bright tandem coach student did not work out. Hamed was his own boss. He listened only to Ingle. And when his bank account amounted to $40 million, listening to anyone else became simply unthinkable for the Prince.
Now, that's interesting, right? Don Ingle, I got to tell you, he's very different in other trainers, right? Now, look, before I started beefing with Tyann Booth, I watched a lot of his live streams, right? And he talked a lot about, well, at least when he was coherent and he had something intelligent to say, he would have a lot of takes on Don Engle and the way that they trained guys, right? He would tell guys, hey, listen, I want you to just practice your shadow boxing, try different stuff, right? Be unorthodox, be unpredictable. Those are some of the things that he taught his fighters, and you've seen that with Prince Naseem in the way that he fights. You've seen that with my homie Tommy Jacobs, who has that same similar style as that of Don Ingle, Prince Naseem. Billy Joe Saunders has a very similar style. So there's a lineage that comes with the style in Prince Naseem, right? So by the way, we're reacting to the last fights of Prince Naseem. Obviously, they're talking about the Barrera fight. This is a 10-minute documentary regarding the Barrera fight, but we're also going to look at one of his forgotten fights, which is a fight that he basically got sent off of, which was the Manuel Calvo fight, the fight after the Antonio Barrera fight. And I'm going to talk about why that's significant after we react to that whole entire fight.
Prince. Naz had reached the stage where it was time for the big fights. His ideal record was amazing. 35 wins, 31 of them by knockout, with no defeats at all. He defeated everyone in his path, but a big fight with the superstar of world boxing was needed. The steward immediately rejected the option of meeting.
Hey, Carlos 22 FE. Hello. How are you, Carlos? How are you, my man? Right now, we are reacting to the last fights of Prince Naseem Hamed. I'm looking at the documentary right now leading up to the fight that he had with Antonio Margarito Barrera. And also, oh, I'm sorry, not Margarito, Marco Antonio Barrera. And then also his last fight, the forgotten fight, which was against Manuel Calvo, a guy that nobody really knows, but yeah, sort of sent him into a winning retirement, sort of say, right? So, do you remember you? Of course, I remember you, my man. How a beautiful day, just like I'm having a beautiful day. So, yeah, let's continue on with this. All right, here we go.
With Juan Manuel Marquez, believing that the Mexican style was too uncomfortable for Naseem. However, he happily jumped at the option of fighting another Mexican, Marco Antonio Barrera, who for the sake of this fight was ready to leave his WBO super bantamweight title and rise to a new category. The negotiations dragged on for almost a year. During this time, Naz had a spectacular fight against promising Augie Sanchez. The main problem remained the mood and preparation of the Prince. Gone are the days when he relentlessly plowed in the hall of Brendan Ingle. Training was no longer the main program of the day for him. Before the fight with Barrera, a serious problem arose: 35 pounds overweight.
Now, listen, that right there, what you're seeing out of Nas, that is old school money right there. Okay. Like he had the big body Benz back in the days, the limousine. I don't think even famous people nowadays even ride limousines, right? But that was Prince Nas back in the day. I mean, you're looking at like real old money. If you want to know what balling looked like in the early 2000s, it looked like this.
The meeting with Barrera was scheduled for April 7th, 2001. Naz was to receive a fee of $8.5 million. Marco Antonio relied on a more modest, but still record-breaking amount for him, $1.8 million. Naseem was a 3-1 favorite. Boxing experts in America were even more categorical in their assessments. Of the 30 polled, 28 were in favor of a confident victory for the Prince. Naseem's colorful exit was overshadowed by a devastating first round. Barrera obviously watched his opponent's last fight against Augie Sanchez more than once. He stood in his classic balanced stance and punched the same homework, a right straight or side into the chest area, a smashing left hook to the head. Barrera proved the effectiveness of this combination throughout the fight. The logic is simple. The first blow to the chest area fettered the strongest left hand of the Prince, which allowed him to freely break through the left hook.
Yeah, so it really showed that there was a different style there that Prince Naseem just could not handle, right? He could not handle this style of Barrera, and I think there were a lot of technical deficiencies that sort of were exposed in this fight. Carlos says, I'm going to go play some Fortnite. See you later. Shout out to you, my man. Thank you for tapping in, and let everybody know about this live stream. Like, subscribe, and tell the next man to tell the next man that they can tell the next man to come watch this channel. Inshallah. All right, here we go.
By delivering this series of blows and treating Naseem with several accurate jabs, the Mexican took the first round.
Yeah, the first round was clear on the side of Barrera on that one.
Is only half the battle. In the second round, Naseem went ahead, but again ran into Barrera's signature combination.
And so that's another thing about Prince Naseem, right? He always kept his hands very low, and whereas the Mexican style, they keep it up like this, and then they walk forward at you, right? But the reason why Prince Naseem keeps his hands low is because a lot of people do sort of hint that as technical deficiency. To me, if you're further away from somebody enough, you can put your hands down. You don't necessarily have to keep them up if you're further away. Now, the closer that you get, I think it is important to keep your hands up in that matter.
In one of the episodes, the Prince dropped the Mexican with a wrestling technique, which made the opponent very angry. But
wow. Oh, hold on. Let's take a look at this wrestling move that they're talking about right here.
Shot from the left.
I mean, you know what? They're saying that it was Prince Naseem that did a wrestling move on him or whatever, to that extent. But it's kind of like it was Prince Nas that DDT'd him, I guess. But I guess back then they didn't really understand the dynamics of wrestling. And in reality, it was Barrera that took him down, right? Like Nas was just trying to hold on or whatever, but then yeah, he got taken down. I guess they sort of gave a warning. And look, there's the police right there, like right there, right? Like he's looking on to this situation, like, hey, what's going on here, boys? You gotta keep it clean, yeah. Anyways, yeah. All right, here we go. Oh, see, and even the announcer was like, "You've never seen that before." Yeah, because you don't understand wrestling maneuvers or wrestling leverages. That's why you've never seen that before. But yeah.
The third round was a continuation of the second. Marco Antonio hit twice with a working combination, and Naseem accurately answered with a front right hand.
Ooh, that's a good counter by Prince Nas right there.
In the fourth segment, the Mexican again managed to shake the enemy with his left hook and take the round. Very composed Barrera. That was a hit, but he hasn't got in one position yet. However, in the fifth round, the pattern completely changed. The tactical game began at a distance. Stronger nerves were at Barrera.
All right, so by the fifth round, it was at the point where Prince Nas was sort of, fighting at a distance, right? He's managing to keep the distance away now. But at this point, it became a little too late because he was just allowing Barrera to constantly get close to him in a way that he did earlier on, which ultimately hurt Prince Naseem early on in the fight.
He hit twice with his signature combination. Having received a thrashing from the steward during the break, Naseem changed his stance. He got right-handed and acted very successfully, winning the 6th round.
You know what I find interesting about Nas's jab, right? Like he'll jump. Okay, sorry about that. Yeah, I got a little excited there. He will literally jump right at you. Okay, he'll literally jump right at you while he's throwing a jab, right? It's like a jab, like this lead leg right here. It will jump up with him as he's jabbing up, right? So I thought that was pretty interesting right there. So by the 7th round, people had this fight already a draw by this point, right? But I just think the strength of Barrera is ultimately what won this fight. But yeah, let's continue on right here. Okay, every time Prince Nas is getting hit, it is predicated on the fact that he is keeping his hands down, right? And then boom, there's a counter right there by Barrera. Let's see that counter right there real quick. Watch this. Boom, right there. That little counter.
Spoiled the impression of the local public, which mercilessly shouted at every blow Barrera, creating a false impression of his advantage. It wasn't. But even Naseem could not do anything with the collected and psychologically prepared counterpart. Everything was evenly divided until the 11th round. Moreover, the 10th round of the Prince took his asset.
Yeah, those are some hard shots right there. Real hard shots. All right, here's some combinations that he's throwing right here.
He slightly increased the speed and confidently took the round.
All right, so then the final round right now, as they get into the final round right now. At this point, yeah, they were giving it to Barrera 7 rounds to 4. At least the announcers were.
He made the opponent miss. Barrera punched accurately, but completely spoiled the impression with a police wrestling technique, grabbing Naseem's hand and hitting his opponent on the ring post. Joe Cortez, quite rightly, deducted 1 point from him.
Oh, wow. He got deducted because he put him in a half Nelson.
This did not save Naseem. He lost the fight.
But even that 1 point deduction did not save him.
All 3 judges ruled in favor of Barrera, 116 to 111.
Wow, 116 to 111 in that fight.
There was no defeat, about which the haters of Naseem are so fond of trumpeting.
Oh, yeah. That's the thing, right? The haters of Naseem loved this win against loved this loss that he had against Barrera, right? Again, look, this is just what I notice about English society, right? When you're coming up, everybody loves you. They're like, yeah, go on, lad. You're the best. Yeah, you're the man. Yeah, you got to represent all the working class lads out here. Yeah. And the next thing you know, now that working class lad is now, now all of a sudden, oh, you think you're better than everybody else to be out here, huh? You know what I mean? Sort of like, he think he too bougie for the hood, like that type of thing, right? That's sort of the reason why a lot of people were hating on Prince Naseem. Of course, on the Mexican side, that's understandable because they were going for Barrera. But on the other side of that, the English and people that were in the UK, they hated Prince Naseem. I mean, because look, man, Prince Naseem did a lot of effed up stuff as he was when he was a young man. Let's not forget that, right? He did a lot of effed up stuff, a lot of things that I can't even mention. Some situations, sort of John Jones esque, right? But on any regard, yeah, here we go.
The possibility of rematch was spelled out in the contract.
All right, so here's the thing, right? They were talking about possibly getting a rematch between these two because the fight was so close that they decided, this would make a good rematch. The fight never happened. Prince Naseem ended up gaining a whole bunch of weight, and yeah, it never came to fruition.
The desire was expressed by Naseem himself, explaining the unsuccessful performance by an injury to both hands. But the boxing will.
So once again, Prince Nas said that there was an injury factor going on in this fight, and so as such, he was like, "Yeah, you know what? I think I could have done better the second time around."
World was never destined to see the second fight of two great boxers. Naseem had only one more fight against a rather average Spaniard.
Right here, this is the guy that he fought right here, the last fight.
Manuel Calvo. He ended his career at the age of 28. He didn't break. Naseem started too early, and his early retirement had nothing to do with the loss to Barrera. This was noted by the British champion himself. The time has come. He couldn't train as hard as he did in his younger days and made the right decision. Marco Antonio performed for a very long time. Ahead were victories over Eric Morales and Johnny Tapia and a crushing defeat from Manny Pacquiao. In 2001, Barrera did his job. That night in Las Vegas, he was slightly better than Prince and deserved to win.
Well, if you want to see that again, just look up History of Boxing, EN, the fight that buried Prince Naseem Hamed's career. So let's go on and watch the full fight of Manuel Calvo and Prince Naseem, 2002. Okay, May 18th, 2002. Wow, very interesting. Okay, that was just right around my 17th birthday. All right, so all right, yeah, we're gonna watch this. We're gonna watch this fight. This is a full fight right here. I don't know who owns the. Okay, Box Nation owns the rights to this. So okay, we're gonna start off and watch and react to the last fight of Prince Naseem right now. Okay, so I can't show you the footage of this one. I could show you just a little bit, just a little bit here and there. But yeah, we're gonna react to it right now. Let's see how Prince Nas did in his final fight in the ring. So first round, Prince Naseem, the video quality not so good, right? Very 2002 esque, but what do you expect, right? The face isn't really, like clear. It's kind of blurry, and obviously the opponent of Prince Nas right here, very average to say the least, very average opponent. Prince Nas not really moving a lot with his feet the way that he usually does. Just a little bit more flat-footed early on in this first round right here. He goes for an overhand right there. Prince Naseem in a very unorthodox stance, still with his hands down. Once again, a type of fight where he can kind of feel comfortable doing that here in comparison to uh, let's say Barrera, right? He couldn't do this to Barrera, not at all. So, yeah, Prince Nas totally unbothered by Manuel Calvo here from Spain, by the way. Oftentimes, they usually bring these Spanish fighters in here to basically be cannon fodder for these big names or sometimes journeymen. There's Nas right there rocking him with a good one. All right, so Nas continuing on with his jab right now. We are watching the last fight of Prince Naseem. We're not talking about the Barrera fight. We're talking about literally the last fight versus Manuel Calvo. Okay, we did a reaction to the documentary of his fight with Barrera. If you guys want to check that out, rewind back a little bit. But right now we are reacting to round one of Prince Nas versus Calvo right now. A little clinch up right there. So guys, please hit that like button as I am reacting to you a classic fight right now, right after the Josh Taylor fight. And if you guys stay any longer, I'm going to tell you why I'm reacting to this fight and what Josh Taylor should do after his third consecutive loss tonight against Ekow. So that goes round one right there for Prince Nas. I figured, you know what, on nights and days where there are no UFC or major boxing events, what I think I'll do is react to classic fight nights. Now, right now, the UFC is doing a reaction to UFC 92. I believe UFC 92. They are doing a live replay. So Maker says, good idea. You like that idea? What do you think? You like this idea where this is literally what I'm reacting to right now? I obviously can't show you the entire fight, but yeah, this is an example of it right here. Right, this is Prince Naseem's last fight right here. Right, I'm gonna turn back to my face once they head into the ring, and then we'll react to the fight as it goes on. That's dope. No one does that. No one does reaction to classic fights. I think they do. It's just that they don't know where to format it, right? Like it doesn't become the focal point, or maybe sometimes they'll do like, let's say, for members only. Maybe I can do that. Maybe, yeah, I haven't seen them. Okay, well, I guess I'm the first one for you, man. Shout outs to Maker right there. Maker, let me know what part of the world you are at right now as we are reacting to this replay of Prince Naseem versus the Spanish Manuel Calvo, which was basically Prince Naseem's send-off fight. The last time that we've ever seen Prince Naseem in the ring. And right now, it's not the Prince Naseem that I've often noticed in the highlights at all, right? This is not the same Prince Naseem. He's sort of a little bit more flat-footed, not really moving in the way that we usually see him do, where he like bounces from one side of the ring to the other. But at the same time, he's standing in front of his opponent, also remaining good defense quality about him, putting his hands down. But once again, this is one of these things where you can get away with an opponent like this, because as you would imagine, Manuel Calvo was a journeyman boxer at the time, right? And you look at all the Spanish fighters now that you see in the zone, it's the same history repeating itself. They are the journeyman boxers, just as the Argentinians. But there are a lot of good Argentinians out there also, like that guy Carlos Monsoon, if you remember him. He's got like a little show in Netflix right now that I have yet to finish. So I got to go look at that later on and check it out. But yeah. All right, so now Prince Naseem's just moving a little bit better on his feet. So what it is, I think, is that Prince Nas needed just a little bit more rounds to get comfortable, to sort of get the feeling of like, hey, you know what? Let me see how this feels. Let me see how this goes. And I'm just going to jump around here, or I'm just going to, yeah. Techie Gamer says, my man, I am back. How are you, my man? How are you? And just when I thought I was about to end the live stream, right, I was like, you know what? Let me do a reaction to Prince Naseem in his last fight against Manuel Calvo. So shout outs to you, my man. Shout outs to all my supporters in India. Shout out to all my supporters in the UK. And shout out to all my supporters in the Philippines, in the Middle East, and everything else in between. And yeah, man, please hit that love emoji button once again. All right, so there's a right hand right there by Prince Naz, still fighting with his hands down, by the way, right here in the second round. All right, so now this is where he starts turning up the style right now, where he starts getting comfortable. Very MVP-esque in the way that he fights with his hands down, by the way, Prince Naseem. Very, very Prince Naseem like I'm sorry, MVP like, right? Michael Venom Page. So that is the end of the second round. We're now going into the third round between Manuel Calvo versus Prince Naseem. Prince Naseem's last fight ever. Now I noticed there is a Puerto Rican trainer with Prince Naseem. It's not Don Ingle, and I think it had something to do with the fact that you know what, Don Ingle could no longer tell Prince Naseem what to do. Once the millions started coming in, what can you really teach this guy? This guy felt like he knows a little bit of everything. Ooh, look at that. That's nice right there. Look at this little transition right here. Look at this. Whoop. He made a miss today. Today's topic, my man. So we reacted to Josh Taylor and Ekow. He just lost. It was a big upset for Josh Taylor. So right now, what we're doing is reacting to Prince Naseem's last fight, and this is going to relate to Josh Taylor. And I need you guys to stay tuned. For those that are tapping in right now, stay tuned until the end of this fight. I'm going to tell you what Josh Taylor needs to do in regards to what Prince Naseem did here. So now we are in the third round of Prince Naseem's final fight ever. Ever. Maker asks, who's better? Who does the style better, Prince Naz or Ben Whitaker? Ooh, that's a good question. Uh I'm gonna say Prince Naz because it's hard to compare the two, right? Ben Whitaker is early in his career. He's in a heavier weight class. Prince Naseem is more accomplished, but he's in a smaller weight class. And then you can also argue that there was more talent in that weight class than, let's say, what Ben Whitaker is facing right now, right? So I would say Prince Naz did that style better in terms of implementation. So, very good stance. Look at this switch hitting, putting his hands down. Look, you don't get fatigued as much if you put your hands down. You know who of doesn't really get you tired out as much. So let's see here. Yeah, so one of the questions you're asking right here as the fight is going on is how much motivation does Prince Naseem have at 28 years old right now with, being as as wealthy as he is at this point, right, of his career. So what do you think, Maker? Do you think that Ben Whitaker does that style better or Prince Naz? Now, I'm only going off of just application and the application of competition, and also going off of the fact that he did, yeah, I got to run, my brother, but I'll subscribe. Glad I ran into your live stream. Thank you so much, man. And I hope that you do recommend my channel to everyone else as well, because I'm telling you right now, what you've just subscribed to is probably one of the most epic mixed martial arts channels in the history of mankind. And by the way, I cover boxing too. You know what else I cover? I also cover street stuff that goes on in the streets of LA, gang stories of the streets, and also geopolitical aspects of the world and the stories and topics that are involved into that. So shout outs to Maker, shout outs to Tetchery Games, as we are right now in the what round is this at this point right now? So okay, that is the end of the round. What is the next round we're going into? I lost count of the round that we are in right now. But yeah, at this point right now, Prince Naz has already cut up Calvo. Both have thrown 90 punches. already within the round. Nas has landed 45 and only 12 for Calvo right here. Here's some of the highlights of this round right here. Boom. He hits him with a hook and then steps right back. Okay, so next round coming up. And there's Prince Nas right there, already standing up right away. By the way, guys, hit the like and subscribe button as we are reacting to Prince Nas versus Manuel Calvo. 2002, May 18th was his last fight ever. And we are in round 4 right now as we speak of reacting to this classic fights. All right. So yeah, they happen, but I mean, not. Yeah, man. He was just very limited in the type of people that he was able to fight. Is ultimately what I'm saying. So, all right, here we go. But man, he's looking very slick right now in this. Yeah, Prince Nas was never slick, but he never beat anyone. I feel the same way about Inoue. That's what I'm saying, right? In those weight classes, there was very limited. I mean, Kevin Kelly, right? Kevin Kelly was really big back in the days. And how about this? Remember, it was P. Diddy that walked out Prince Nas back in the days, if you remember. I'm sure Prince Nas wants everybody to forget about that, right? I'm sure Prince Nas does not want anybody to know what is going on with him and P. Diddy and whatnot. Like that's something that he definitely does not want to mention. No Diddy, for sure, no Diddy. But yeah, man, yes, Diddy, he did walk him out. You know what I mean? He did walk him out to the Kevin Kelly fight, if you remember. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So here we go, round number 4 right here. All right, so now Prince Nas getting a little bit bouncy right now on his feet as we are in the 4th round right now of his final fight ever of his whole entire career, his whole entire life, rather. All right, and that is the end of round number 4 right there. Yeah, the announcers right now are complaining that the crowd sort of is upset or angry at Prince Nas right now for whatever reason. I don't know, but ooh, okay, yeah, he made a miss right there. Every time this guy throws for a hook, man, at the last fight of Prince Naseem, man, he looked really good and slick in the way that he, sort of. All right, so total jabs landed in the fight so far: 30 for Naseem and 3 for Calvo. Yeah, they are saying right now in the announcers, it's kind of interesting to hear the announcers talk during that time to sort of give context into what is happening during that time. So they're saying that Prince Nassim feels like he's very comfortable fighting out here in London and this and that, but maybe the American broadcasters and production team may want something different and may sway him back there. So it's just really interesting to hear say that. Little did they know that this Manuel Calvo fight is the last fight that Prince Nassim will ever do, right? So that's sort of interesting to say the least. All right. So very nice controlled job by Prince Naseem. He knows at this point of his career, in the last fight of his career, he knows how to sort of like move his head back, lean back, as Fat Joe would say, whenever punches are coming at him, and do it in a very technical manner where he can keep his hands down and just allow the shots to fly while alleviating them. Yeah, this is round five right now of this fight. Oh man, that's a good straight shot right there by Calvo. But really, throughout this whole entire fight, Calvo really had no opportunity whatsoever to hit him with anything. It's just all been Prince Nas right here with just about 50 seconds left into the fifth round right now. All right, 20 seconds left in the fifth round between Prince Naseem Hamed and Manuel Valco back in 2002, May 18th. Last fight of Prince Naseem. Nice straight hand by Prince Nas right there. A little pause by Prince Nas right there. All right, so now almost heading into the last portion of this fight. Mm, Knockout Kings. I remember that video game. They have that video game plastered right there. Very similar to today, where you have the Undisputed game plastered along with the UFC games plastered on the mat and on the cage and in the ring. Yeah, man, it's like as if some things never really changed in boxing, right? It's just, oh, boxing has always been boxing, right? Even the way that they throw the punches. I mean, there's really nothing else to that. Paul, what's up, my man? What up, playa? How you doing, Paul? Shout outs to Paul, my man, right here. We are reacting to Prince Nas in his last fight, having a little bit of a nostalgic feeling right here. Knockout Kings had the best fighter selection. Yeah, they definitely did, man. I remember going over a homie's house during that time in my teenage years. Oh my goodness, man. You're bringing back some beautiful nostalgic memories with Knockout Kings. And then obviously the Fight Night series that came to follow after that. It was, man, it was great, man. Always loved the boxing games. Even when it was at a point where I wasn't really like a hardcore boxing fan, or just I wasn't smart enough to like really know every boxing event there was out there, right? But when it came to like video games, yeah, I mean that's definitely one of the things that got me into the boxing side of things was that. NJ03 says, what up, how you doing, my man? Shout outs to NJ03. All right, man. We got some people tapping in here right now, man. Hey, guys, don't forget to do me a favor. Hit that like and hit that subscribe button as we are reacting to Prince Naseem Hamed, Manuel Calvo, back in 2002 of May 18th, right? And the reason why we're watching this fight in regards to the recent loss of Joshua Taylor, which is what this whole live stream is predicated on, what we're going to do is analyze and look at what Josh Taylor needs to do at the end of this fight. Okay, so stay tuned at the end of this fight. We are right now in round number 6 of Prince Naseem versus Manuel Calvo, the very last fight of Prince Naseem. Let's get into some fantasy fights. Okay, what are some fantasy fights you have in mind? How about this, right? So uh, Manuel Barrera, Marco Barrera ended up fighting Manny Pacquiao. Now, what if it was Prince Naseem that won that fight and eventually ended up fighting Manny Pacquiao, like somewhere in the early 2000s? Because remember, Manny Pacquiao was around during that time. Hagler versus GGG. Woo, okay, you're really trying to put together matchups of guys that historically are very similar. I think that's what you're going for right there, movies as friends, right? Marvin Hagler versus GG. Who would I go for that one? In all honesty, prime for prime, I'd have to go with Marvin Hagler, right? And you know what? I don't like doing fantasy matchups because it's just different, right? Like, but if we're talking prime for prime, yeah, I would say Marvin Hagler. Boots versus Crawford. Not much of a fantasy though. I mean, now it may seem like a fantasy if you think about it, because Boots is staying at 147. Crawford is moving up to 168. I mean, just like that. Look, the gradual move up of Terrence Crawford. Uh, one, I believe he started at 140, became undisputed at 140, went to 147, became undisputed at 147, won a belt at 154, and now he's going for undisputed at yeah. Now he's going for undisputed at 168. Yeah, 147 fantasy fight. Oh, Crawford Cooks Boots. Yeah, at 147. So, yeah, if Boots and Crawford, the reason why I'm saying that's not a fantasy is because they're in the same era where this fight can actually happen, right? So now we're moving on to round number 7 of Prince Naseem Hamed versus Manuel Calvo. And yeah, man, guys, stay tuned, okay? At the end of this fight, I'm going to tell you what Josh Taylor needs to do in regards of his third consecutive loss right now against Esco tonight. So here we go. Prince Nas, round number 7 against Manuel Calvo. His very last fight ever of his whole entire career, guys. The last fight of Prince Naseem's career ever. Reliving a little bit of my teenage years here, right? We're talking 2002. That was uh that was when I was 17. Yeah. Sophomore in high school too, during this time. Wow, man, he just went through that like knock knock, who's there? Diddy who? Oi, I don't I don't understand the joke there, treachery gamers, but yeah, let me know what you mean by that, my man. Now, I'm as I'm watching round number 7 of this fight right now between Nas and Calvo, I cannot believe that Nas really is just walking him down arrogantly with his hands down. I mean, it is insane, right? And then Calvo's not really able to hit him much. Knock knock, who's there? Diddy who oiled up little bro. Oh man, come on, techie gamers. Hey, everybody, hit the like and subscribe button in honor of techie gamers right there. But I mean, who am I kidding saying that, that's in honor of techie gamers, even though that is a funny joke? I'm saying that in self serving interest to my end. So, yeah, please. Ooh, what is that? No, it wasn't a knockdown. It was a slip. That was a slip right there at the end of the game. Hey, salute to you as well, my man. Salute to you. Yeah, man. So next guy, man, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and let's react to this right now with 20 seconds left of the 7th round with Hamed versus Manuel Calvo in his very last and final fight. Oh, nice, man. Really good job dodging out of those fights, man. I need one more like. Anybody out there Just give me one more like to get 10 likes for the stream. Ooh, there's Prince Nas right there doing a little ollie shuffle right there. Now that is the end of the 7th round. Now we are going into the 8th round. So please, guys, hit the like and subscribe button because we are reacting to classic fights that not many people are really interested in sort of looking at, which is Prince Nas versus Manuel Calvo in his final fight ever. What is this in between the rounds? He's talking to someone, not even sitting down in his corner. Very interesting choice for Prince Naseem Hamed, right? I think at this point of Prince Nas's career, I think he's thinking to himself, you know what, man? This is my last fight. I'm just going to stand out here and have fun. Okay, so that was a bit of a slip right there. He was trying to walk. Okay, yeah, that was a slip. That was a slip, the way that he fell back right there. Guys, hey, hit the like and subscribe button. Reacting to Prince Naseem Hamed versus Manuel Calvo, 2002, back in 2002 of May 18th. The very last fight of Prince Naseem. Here we go, round number 8. Doing the little ollie shuffle again. Now he's starting to feel himself, really feeling the confidence right here at this point. And stay tuned, guys. I'm going to tell you exactly what Josh Taylor needs to do at the end of this fight right here after his 3rd consecutive loss. And by the way, I want to keep in mind, I didn't know too much about who this guy was that he fought, but I think it'll be interesting. It'll be a very interesting conversation, to say the least. He went for that long arm uppercut right there. Yeah, really good defense by Prince Nas, sort of leaning himself back like that. Oh, there's a swing and a miss right there by Calvo. All right, now Nas comes back at it again. Just about 130 left into this fight right now. All right, 103, 102, 101 in the 8th round right now of Naseem Hamed versus Manuel Calvo, the very final fight of Prince Naseem Hamed. That alone, please hit the like button as we are checking out the last fight of Prince Naseem and what Josh Taylor needs to do now that his fight is over. Maybe even his fight career. Is it or is it not? I'm going to let you know in the end. Right after this fight, we are heading into round number 9. And then round number 9 comes 10, 11, and 12. And then I'm going to tell you what Josh Taylor is going to do. Please stick around. You're not going to want to miss this while we are reacting to this very nostalgic fight of Prince Naseem Hamed after reacting to the main event of Josh Taylor versus Ekow, his very 3rd consecutive loss in a row. But on any event, here's Prince Nas right now looking really good, looking really slick. All right, and that is the end of the round right there. All right, so now going into round number 9 of Prince Naseem's final fight. Now, very contrasting to the previous fight, which was the Marco Antonio Barrero fight. In the Antonio Barrero fight, he had to put up a little bit more resistance. He had to be a lot more methodical. He had to be a lot more careful in the way that he approached the fight. This is a fight where he felt really free. He felt like he could do what he wants. And this man seemed tailored for the style that Prince Nas was, perfecting here, right? Which was a very elusive style, very hard to deal with, especially if you're a flat-footed fighter. Techie Gamer says, "Do you think age matters for a fight?" It depends on who the person is, right? Now, for example, I'm 40 years old, right? But I think that there's a lot of guys out there who are not in shape, guys who don't take care of themselves, that absolutely I could beat up at 40 years old, right? But maybe if we're talking about a higher level of competition, maybe at 40 years old, that would not be the best idea for me, right? Because everyone body goes at a certain age, right? Your time comes, your time goes, and that's the way it is. Whenever somebody becomes a freshman, there's the seniors, and then the seniors are out on their way, and eventually the freshmen become the seniors. That's what they teach you in high school. That's the reality of life as well, right? In the fight game, you have a short window that could either be 10 years, maybe even 20 years if you're lucky, maybe even just a short 5 years, maybe even less than that. But either way, within that window, that is your time. And then after that, it is the next guys that are coming up that are going to be there. So age doesn't always matter in fights, but it depends on who the person is. And sometimes it does matter depending on who the person is as well. Like, for example, you put BJ Penn with any of these top 155ers out there right now. I don't know if that would be the best idea possible. For Movies, his friend says Bill Cosby versus P. Diddy in their primes. I'm going to go with Sean P. Diddy only because he's a dancer, right? And P. Diddy has been in some scraps, right? Regardless of what you think of the brother, regardless of the fact that he has done a lot of, gay activities, a lot of, you know, um, nefarious activities and whatnot, the dude can fight. In comparison to Bill Cosby, yeah, I'd go with Bill Cosby on that one. Techie Gamers asked one gorilla versus 100 humans, who will win? Okay, so I've answered this question, and Movies as Friends is laughing at this. Either he was laughing at my previous comment or laughing at your question right now, Techie Gamer. So I'm going to answer this, right? It's a very inhumane question. I mean, do we really want to harm a gorilla? Because if you think about it, can 100 humans beat up a gorilla? I think there is a good chance that they can. The only issue is that you're going to be committing human rights abuse. So that's really what it comes down to. Yeah. Yes, laughing at your answer. Oh, okay, with P. Diddy and Bill Cosby? Yeah. Man, P. Diddy can scrap. He's, very athletic at his when he was at a young age, he could dance. So I think, that can translate to sort of good footwork. And speaking of good footwork, that's the end of round number 9. I think we're going into round number 10 right now. Movies, his friend says, I was totally joking too. I wasn't, bro. Listen, I'm a fight analyst. You know what I mean? There ain't no joke with me. When you're asking me who wins between a fight, I'm really going to analyze it like, you know what? Does Bill Cosby have the physical attributes? Does he have the martial arts background? And if he does, what is it significant towards this particular fight? This is how my brain works. I understand to you it's all comedy, haha, who wins between Bill Cosby and P. Diddy. But for me, I'm really analyzing. Oh, look at this. Look at Barry McGuigan. Look at my man right here. Barry McGuigan. You guys seen him, right? Oh, man. Yeah, the Irish mob ran him out of the fight game, man. He took all his fighters. If you remember, Daniel Kinahan took all his fighters, and then maybe Barry McGuigan maybe snitched to the American government on the low to like kind of put him away. Like, you think you're gonna do this to me? Let me see if I cooperate with the FBI and see what see if I can get back at you. I don't know, but I'm just speculating and again just talking out of entertainment. No, don't laugh at him. He is so good, man. Yeah, no, it's all good, Techie Gamers. He means well. By that, as I'm sure you do as well. Nothing but good and positive vibes out here. So, all right, on to the 10th round right now of the final fight with Naseem Hamed versus Manuel Calvo. coming off of a loss from Antonio Barrera, now going in to redeem himself. And guys, I need you to stay tuned because at the end of this fight, I'm going to tell you what Josh Taylor needs to do in relationship to this fight right now with Prince Naseem Hamed and Calvo. Stay tuned. Third loss in a row um, for Josh Taylor. I'm really gutted for him, man. I really liked Josh Taylor when he was coming up, and then on top of that, became the undisputed champion. That was really the highlight of his career, and I think that was during the pandemic when he had won his undisputed championship belt. I believe was that in the pandemic. Who did he beat for the? Yeah, I okay. 19. Okay. Regis Prograis, I believe, is the guy that he beat for all of those belts. Yeah. So it was Regis Prograis that got him the undisputed championship belt. So, bro, GTA video when we want gaming videos too, bro. Here's the thing, right? I gotta find a way to attach my software into the live stream, and if I can do that, then no problem, man. I'll bang out GTA with you guys all day. Talk fighting all day while just banging on people on GTA all day. I'm a pretty good GTA player, right? I really would love to show that at a world stage, gaming like that. So, I really would love to show that if I could, but I got to find a way to do that among other things. So, all right, there's a good left hand right there by Prince Nassim, still with his hands down even after the 10th round. And we got about 10 seconds of this. And right after this, we got two more rounds left for Prince Nas and Manuel Calvo, the final fight of Prince Nassim's career ever, right? Feeling a little nostalgic, right? Feeling a sense of nostalgia at the end of this fight. I'll be like, wow, you know what? This is the last time that Prince Nas had ever fought, right? And I was like 17 years old when this fight was happening. At that time, I didn't know how to really keep track of watching live fights, right? Obviously, you'd have to go to like the what do you call it, the bars, or order it on pay-per-view. But yeah, those fights were just a few far in between. They weren't always out there like that. So right, here's some highlights from Prince Nas right here. Ooh, yeah, some good shots right there by Prince Nas. Yeah, his eyes is busted up at this point right here. Knockout Kings. Once again, there it is. Noticeable, the more noticeable commercials that they got going on here is that. Let's see here. All right. That's 12 years old. No, it's not 12 years old. The video, he uploaded the video 12 years ago, Techie Gamer. I'm going to show you right now so I can give you a little bit of some highlights. So it says 12 years old, but the date right here, 2022-05, yeah, that's not, yeah, 20 years old, still going at it. Yep, that's right. Marty Miller, shout out to you, my man. How was your dinner? You're in the East Coast, right? I'm assuming you must be in the East Coast, perhaps, if you're having dinner around this time, or maybe somewhere in the Midwest. What part of the United States you're at again, Marty Miller? Let me know, my man. Delicious. Oh, I'm in Ohio, brother. Okay. Ohio. Okay. Yeah, the Paul brothers are from Ohio, by the way. What do fellow Ohioans think of the Paul brothers? I mean, do they find a sense of pride that these guys come from that cloth and they come from that world, or is it one of those situations where like, oh, we don't want to associate with these guys or in any kind of way, very similar to how the Irish in Dublin is with Conor McGregor? I'm in India right now, and it's 5:19 a.m. My man is up early, man. Are you heading to work, or are you just waking up heading to work, or is it your day off? Let me know what you got going on, techie gamers. Hmm. All right, so 11th round right now, 107, 105, 104 in the 11th round. But I woke up for your live. Wow, wow, man, you woke up for my live techie gamers, bro. I got to give you props on that, bro. Man, listen, you woke up for my live, bro. Man, we gotta connect in some kind of way, man. You know what I mean? Like, uh, network in some kind of way, man. For you to be up for my stream like that, man, I appreciate that, bro. That's real love right there, bro. Like, I really appreciate that. Like, really, bro, man, that's what's up, man. And you know what? I never even scheduled this live yet. I think you do kind of know that I probably go on live at a certain time, only because I know that at certain times, certain, yeah, I go on certain times, which is probably like morning time in India for you. But yeah, man, you should hit me up on Facebook if you got a Facebook or whatever, you know what I mean. So this way you can get all of my lives as soon as they come on. How about that? You know what I mean. I'll let you know as soon as I come on if you want to connect on FB and whatnot. So Marty Miller says, yeah, about an hour north of me. I don't think most people from Ohio really like or claim them. They're more LA than they are Ohioan. Yeah, you know what? That's interesting. The reason why I brought that up is because there's a lot of people that didn't like Jake Paul or Logan coming up, right? When I was watching their documentaries and their biography that they had going on, they said that they always wanted to be social media stars. They always wanted to do all these prank videos, all of these things that you see Vitali and Johnny Somali and all these other streamers are doing right now. Fauci, they were sort of in that tip. You could even say that they were revolutionary or sort of the innovative father of that particular genre. But when they were coming up doing that, it was annoying to a lot of people. They didn't like it. So they felt like LA was a place that was a little bit more suitable for their ambitions and goals and whatnot. Bro, can I go to sleep? Can I go for sleep? I'll watch next live, okay? Yeah, for sure, my man. And you know what? Drop on the what do you call it? Yeah, man. Hit me up on Facebook if you will. You know what I mean? So I'll let you know whenever my lives do come on. You know what I mean? So you could be one of the first to know when my lives come on if you'd like. You know what I mean? Because that's serious dedication right there that you woke up, just to check out my live stream. And of course, I highly appreciate that. So yeah, I would definitely love to connect with you on that note. So okay, yeah, hit the let me know what your Facebook name is under on the comment section, and then I'll go and search it. So just write your FB name on the bottom, and then we'll search, and then we'll go from there. So okay, 12th round right now with Prince Naseem Hamed and Manuel Calvo. Everybody that's here, stay tuned at the end of this fight because we will talk about what Josh Taylor needs to do after this loss that he had suffered against. Uh, okay, Abi Nav. Okay, so okay, let's see here. Okay, that's with an H. Okay. Okay. Is this you with 184 friends? Is that you? If so, let me know. So okay, here we go. Abinav. Or do you have it locked? But either way, let me know. Okay, so here we go. Let's see here. The final moments of Prince Naseem's fight right here. All right, so just about 53 seconds left into this fight with Prince Naseem Hamed. And Gon Gillis says, it's the Muslim dude. Yes, it is. How are you, my man? Shane Shillis, Gain Shillis. It is the, yeah. Naseem Hamed had a unique style, amazing footwork. He definitely did, man. He definitely did have amazing footwork for his day. All right. So we are closing in on the end of this fight right now. I'm about to tell you guys what Josh Taylor needs to do right after his third consecutive loss right here. And now that is the end of the fight. Let's take a look at the last moments of Prince Naseem's illustrious career in boxing. Shalom, my Muslim brother. How are you, Gain? How are you, man? Assalamu alaikum to you, my man. I hope everything is good on your part. I hope your family is healthy. I hope you guys are doing good. I hope that everybody is having a beautiful weekend. And now I just want to try to end this video right here and just see some of the final moments of Prince Naseem's career as sort of nostalgic. So same to you, good man. Thank you so much, my brother. Thank you so much. So, okay. Marty Miller says it would be fun to watch classic UFC fights sometimes. Okay, you know what? In the weeks where there is no UFC going on, I will do exactly that. We'll do exactly that. We'll watch some fights. All right, 120 to 110. Like Rory McDonald and yes, yes, that would be a good one for sure. That fight would be absolutely a good one. The Tyson fights, yeah, that would be a good one too. All right, so there it is. That is the final fight of Prince Naseem Hamed, and that concludes that portion of our classic fight reaction. Now, on to the main topic at hand, right? Josh Taylor. He just had his third consecutive loss right now, right? Before the fight, this is what his record looked like. Let's see if we can refresh his record right now. There it is. 3 losses in a row. Okay, what do we do about this? Look, Jack Catterall, that was a good win. Split decision, right? Split decision, but once again, he lost to him the second time around, and that was just right after he had fought him for uh, after he had fought Teofimo Lopez, which, by the way, right now is the undisputed champion in the light welterweight division. Lost to Jack Catterall, loses to Ekow. This is what he needs to do. The reason why I showed this video, I love how you, Gain Shalissa says, I love how invested you are into this ish. Man, thank you so much, man. Thank you. And of course, I love that you guys are also invested in me, in helping my channel, in being very helpful to the growth of my channel. Every one of you contribute in a small way. And, obviously we're a smaller community right now, but our community here at Kyrie Abu El-Kheer MMA is going to grow even bigger and bigger. And I know you guys share the same enthusiasm as I do. The only difference is that I'm the one behind the camera, and and you guys share the same enthusiasm as I do around the world as well. But Daniel says what he needs to do is retire. I think that is in reference to Josh Taylor. So my answer is yes and no. He needs to retire, but he needs to go out with a fight as well, right? Marty Miller says, absolutely. Marty Miller also says, yeah, I could talk combat sports with you all day. Same here, man. Same here. I don't have any friends that are as into it as I am. Man, you know what? That's crazy, bro, because considering that you're from Ohio, I would think that it would be a big hub for mixed martial arts. And again, it kind of explains why the UFC never goes to Ohio. I don't remember they ever went to Ohio. If they did, it was probably for a fight night, but not necessarily for a big UFC pay-per-view. Okay, so Danielle 218 says he should retire. Yes, he should retire. But the reason why I showed you this last fight of Prince Naseem Hamed is because he fought a lesser competition, made a good account of himself as a result of that. But he went out on top, and that's what he needs to do. He needs to go out on top. These 3 losses that he just had, they're very tough, but these are very tough guys. The first Jack Catterall fight, we saw that Jack Catterall belonged in there with Josh Taylor, and I think that was the beginning of the end. Teofimo Lopez, too much of a high level for him. Ekow, Essuaman, we don't know much about him. This is a WBO global welterweight title, so we don't really know much about this guy, but that's not the type of competition that Taylor should be losing to. So go out on a win, get a win, just like Prince Naseem. Look, he took on this journeyman. You know what? Let's take a look at the record of Manuel Calvo. Okay, let's take a look at his record on BoxRec. Okay, just to kind of give a perspective of the level of competition that Prince Naseem had. And by the way, this is the type of competition that realistically somebody like Josh Taylor should be looking for right now. So right now, my man is 57 years old. So you do the math, what age he was back in 2002. So I don't know, like maybe in his mid 30s at that point. Okay, so his last fight was in August? That can't be right. Was that really, is this guy still fighting? No way, not at 54 years old. Okay, so what was his record? 38 and 7 losses. Okay, so where was Prince Naseem Hamed in that particular category? Okay, so at the time when Prince Naseem fought him, he was 35 and 1. And then right afterwards, he lost to Prince Nas. He went on a winning streak right after that. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, but they were journeyman fights realistically. And then he lost to a tougher competition, somebody who was undefeated, then wins again against somebody with a 50-50 record, and then wins again, but then loses to somebody with a very good record at the final fight of his career, which took place in Italy. Okay, so if you saw the way that Prince Nas fought there, he didn't. This is not a guy that belonged in there with Prince Nas, but it showed that Prince Nas needed to retire. He just didn't have the power anymore. He didn't have the same speed. He had enough speed to beat him, but not enough to fight at that level. So that's what Josh Taylor needs to do. Now, who is that? We don't know. There's plenty of journeyman fighters out there for him to fight, a bunch of no names. It doesn't have to be anybody with a name. It's not like in the UFC where you were trying to match Conor McGregor with Donald Cerrone or trying to match him with Michael Chandler, because even though some people may view these guys as journeymen to a certain extent, sometimes they're not. They're not really journeymen per se, right? They're not journeymen in the classic sense of what you would consider in boxing. These are top level guys that can lose and win against anybody at any given time or moment. But on any regard, yeah, that's what he needs to do. He needs to get one more fight, win a winnable fight, and then ride off into the sunset. That's what he needs to do. Okay, and if you guys agree or disagree, let me know in the comment section below. But for now, that is all that I have for you guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I will be dropping some videos all throughout this week because I haven't really been dropping videos as of much. But let me read some of the final comments here. Okay, Marty Miller says, it is. I train with some guys that are into it, but don't talk to any of them outside of the gym. Yeah, I've met a lot of guys like that, Marty Miller. I've met a lot of guys that, how do I say this? They were training partners of mine, but they necessarily didn't have the enthusiasm for combat sports the way that I did, the way that you would, at least not in a matter of watching other people. In fact, some of the guys that I've trained with, they only did MMA because they wanted to get in it and make money, and that was it, but never really interested in the sport. There's a lot of guys that are out there like that. I mean, a bit of a Sigma attitude on their part to sort of do it like that, but that is the reality of some people. Marty Miller says, man, how effective were those shoulder strikes in the McGregor-Cerrone fight? Very effective, right? Funny enough, McGregor said that he learned that from boxers, right? Boxers would sometimes, kind of sneak one in there, as they're in the clinch. So, yeah, man, I think that's honestly what first hurt Donald Cerrone. It did, the head kick, and then that too, I think, helped. And McGregor punches really hard. So, thinking about it, man, Donald Cerrone was Conor McGregor's Manuel Calvo fight, right? A fight that he was allowed to look really good in. But then there were also plenty of fights where Prince Naseem, just a business as usual, looked good at a 12-round fight. Marty Miller says, I've never seen them I've never seen them cause so much damage before, for sure. And then Marty Miller says, exactly. All right. Well, with that in mind, guys, thank you for tapping into the live stream. Thank you for this classic nostalgia that we did with the Prince Naseem Hamed fight that we covered. And I want to thank everybody around the world that has tapped in. Thank you. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Also, check out my new videos. And by the way, I will be in the lab cooking up some new videos. So please, I'm going to put up my videos on the on my post section. And yeah, man, also for those out there, hit me up on Facebook so that I can give you guys some time to understand, to know when these videos are coming up, because sometimes, you know what, man, YouTube doesn't always give you the notifications. I don't know why. But I know that a lot of creators have said and complained about the same problems. But on any regard, we're going to mitigate through that, building a community not only in YouTube but outside of it. I really appreciate it, guys. Hope you guys have a beautiful weekend. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And Marty Miller says, thanks again, man. See you soon. You got it, brother. Assalamu alaikum rahmatullah barakatuh to all you guys out there. Inshallah.